Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pro Wrestling World Talks with Dan and Mac.
So I don't need to there's no countdown.
That was the countdown, so just fucking speak. Speak, Daniel.
Okay.
1, 2.
It's like being in WCW.
Yeah, exactly. I thought there was going to be a countdown for a quick second to the back of my mind. I'm like,
I figured you would just do the countdown, and at this point, you might as well just keep this shit in, because why the fuck not? Par for the course, right?
Well, par for the course. A little technical.
Mine's wide dry, damn it.
A well-oiled machine, I think. That's the best.
Exactly, yep.
Just leave it right in, and people completely understand. And considering the fact that we're reviewing a show that also had tech issues, it'll fit right in.
I blame DDP for those issues, not for nothing. Do not give that man a hot mic ever again.
I don't understand how, though. You have to pot the mic. That is still a production issue, because you don't have to pot the mic all the way up when he's trying to give cues out. And, you're hearing he's yelling at Jimmy Jam Garvin and Michael Hayes right out of the gate. Go, go, go! It's like, oh, we don't need to hear
Or later on, is this live?
Exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Pro Wrestling World Talks. I am your host, Dan. That, of course, my co-host and best friend for over 20 years, Mac. We have super producer David, and joining us once again, the absolute best announcer for WCW that we could possibly love and cherish. And we're so glad that he's on the mend after his hip surgery. Scott Hudson, thank you again for coming on to the program back on Pro Wrestling World Talks.
It doesn't even sound like you rehearsed that.
I didn't.
Well, there you go. Good read.
Exactly. Because I'm coming into this, it's like, well, I blew the cue to start because I'm just sitting here. I'm like, what? Waiting for everything. Yeah, okay, because I'm such a professional right now. But today we are coming in to review WCW Superbrawl 91, the very first edition. A show that you could say opened the forbidden door, because look at the cover of the poster and the cover of the VHS. We have the WCW/NWA World Heavyweight Champion Nature Boy Ric Flair and that terrible goddamn haircut, goddamn Jim Herd, against the IWGP Heavyweight Champion Tatsumi Fujinami. So this is a forbidden door kind of matchup, a massive main event here in the United States. But it's 1991 WCW, so nobody gave a shit. And we have a bunch of macabre on the show as well that we got to discuss. Some terrible technical issues, but also perhaps one of the greatest tag team matches of the 1990s took place on the show. So it's a lot of big hits, but also some major misses. We also have somebody that walked out of the company a couple of years later, as a couple of years before, as the Skyscraper, and now just walks back into the company and squashes Ricky Morton. Because that makes sense, because it's WCW 1991. So we get to discuss that. And Scott, thanks again for coming onto the program to talk about that. But before we start with that, your name has come up in not in that list. Don't worry.
I wasn't there that weekend.
I
was. No idea.
I was there to buy art.
I don't know about that kind of art.
It's like, that's that excuse, right?
I say art is abstract.
That's a great line.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But you're so a big beehive, a big iceberg that has really hit the social media webs, but also YouTube especially, has been the lost media iceberg And Scott, you have come up recently because they have found WCW cyber matches off of a random CD-ROM that was included in a WCW magazine in, I think, 1999. And it was a locked CD-ROM because I guess that somebody had found in recent years was trying to actually use, but it was a locked CD-ROM to a website that had been shut down in 2000, 2001. So someone had now recently kind of re-engineered everything and was able to unlock the disc and the content involved. And these cyber matches have now made it to YouTube and are being reviewed by Wrestling Bios, Wrestling with Regret. And your name has come up, especially with Larry Zbyszko, when you're watching these matches that are taking place. And did you even know what these looked like? Like, did you have an idea of what you were watching?
We watched the ones that Larry and I did, and I've seen this footage, and 90% of it I'm not in because it's just promos and stuff.
Right.
But the matches are what Larry and I did, and I remember doing them. And we were in the studio there. I don't know if we were at CNN Center or if we were at Log Cabin or if we were at Techwood. And we had studios in each place in Atlanta. But I remember doing it because it had those tusks that came out, at ringside. And, I did what I was told. Scott, you got to call this. Great. Where do we have 3, 2, 1, let's go. It's what I do. It's my job. But I can't begin to tell you, and you know how much I love Legend. He's incredible. Every moment with him was just a dream walking. But you can imagine exactly how much he thought of basically calling a video game match with 2 real guys in a video game set. What the hell are we supposed to be doing? Follow the match. Follow me, Ledge. We'll be okay.
That's all I'm thinking in the back of my mind. I'm like, because I heard your voice, and I'm just thinking, Scott's just being a professional and just completely not seeing the visuals around the ring. He's just calling the action. And I'm sure Larry is just in the back of his mind, just been like, I work with Bruno, for Christ's sake. What the hell is this shit? What is this? This is worse than anything Vinnie Mac did.
That's right. He's like, I was in the team challenge, and I can tell you this sucks. But, there's a reason that it was hidden in a locked CD-ROM for 100 years. So, good. I appreciate the technology and the skill it took whoever to unlock it, but there was a reason it was locked up.
It's like I just see the GIF in the back of my mind of when somebody was just like, hey, did you see this? And it's just I just see Ryan Reynolds with the mat. But why? Why did we feel the need to make this a thing of just something like? Go ahead. Sorry.
I had forgotten it because it was for Larry and I it was 30 minutes on one day out of 3,000 days we worked together. So I'd forgotten we did it. And David Bixenspan, who I hadn't heard from in years, emails me and says, do you remember this? And sends me the link. And I was like, my God, no, but it's obviously me. And then, I hooked up with Ledge and, it all started coming back to us. But it was, there's not another one out there. I can promise you that. Or if there is, I'm not on it. So let's hope that's it.
So you talked to Larry about it, and Larry's just like, oh, God, I didn't expect that.
They did some crazy crap back then. And
is Larry doing well?
Cartoon. That's his thing. It was just a cartoon. It was a real cartoon.
Is Larry doing well? Is he doing?
He's great. He's the best. He could step. I don't know if he could step back into the ring, but he could step back behind the mic, and you'd never know that it wasn't 1998 again. He's great. He's the best.
Open invitation anytime he wants to come out of this program. Even if you guys both want to come on, you have an open invitation.
Maybe we should set up a show like that sometime.
Yeah.
Cool. That'd be great by me. He'd probably charge you like $800. He's like MJF. You know, he makes such ridiculous demands so he doesn't have to do anything. And every now and then somebody will really pay him, you know, the $1,300 for a cameo or whatever he's up to. So, okay.
Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, he's earned the right. Don't get me wrong. He's absolutely earned the right to be able to charge that. But
no, he's not. Legend's not going to charge that. I'm kidding about that. But not MJF. He would.
I just remember hearing about Ric Flair charging someone to be on a cameo, only for him to like, oh, what, you're getting married? Like, why the hell are you doing that?
Not too late. Oh my God!
Flair stammered. What are you doing that for? Woo!
That guy complained. I had to save that. I'd have framed it next to my wedding picture. Like, that's the time Ric Flair told me I shouldn't marry you.
All those people complaining that Ric Flair is sending him drunk cameos. It's like, what did you expect?
Yeah. Send sober cameos.
I'd want that.
That's it.
Like,
that's what he ought to do. He ought to say a cameo for me is $250. A sober cameo is $400.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. Take the alcohol after.
It's like before 12.
Johnny Walker, whatever it is he drinks.
No, you can't say 12 because that's too different. You got to put AM and PM. You got to, if you want a cameo before 1 p.m., it's $400 because there's a better than average shot that I'm sober. But if it's after 1, all bets are off. Roll your dice. Then
between 1 and 1:30, I'm not doing cameos because I'll be taking the Uber to the bar.
Wow. And first, I love Ric Flair. If he's watching this, I'm sorry, Nate. I'm just making sport. You're the greatest.
No, I'm not making fun of Rick at all. He's the greatest.
We are. But he's just got to learn to deal with it.
Well, I think hopefully he take and adjust. But also at the same, because I look at it and it's just like I'm doing this as a fan. It's not like I'm sitting here and I'm just bashing on Flair because
I just hope he doesn't do another Twitter war with Dutch Mantel again.
God.
Flair. That was as soon as I saw that, like a couple of friends of mine was like, "Oh yeah, I don't know, Flair's got this." Blah blah. I was like, "Dude, that's Dutch Mantel. I think that was a mistake."
Yeah, do not get into anything with Dutch.
Like 2 days later, Flair apologized.
Yep.
We're brothers.
Dutch is like low key one of the smartest guys in the world, and if you want to get into a battle of wits with him, you will lose. It just might take 4 or 5 minutes, but you will lose.
You think Jim Cornette could be like the only one who could probably do it?
Yeah, Cornette. He's like Cornette, where Cornette's like a lot more demonstrative, but Dutch is just he'll just look at you and nod, and then you'll listen and listen, and then just like in 6 words tear you apart.
Yeah,
I love Dutch too. He's wonderful.
Dutch is wonderful. Dutch is like just seems like an unreal human being. Plus, also the wrestling mind that he has. It's like because of a lot of the stuff that he did with women's wrestling, because he was the agent during like the Knockouts era in TNA, and then too on top of that, he was the one that kind of helped Steve Austin with his name because Austin was real name is Steve Williams. When Dr. Death is walking around, you're not going to be Steve Williams. It's just not going to happen. So he's just like, okay, you're going to be Steve Austin then, and then that's
and Dutch. I'm going to go off on the Dutch Mantel fan club. Booked Puerto Rico for years.
Yes,
all of those big houses at Bayamon Stadium. That was Dutch. Dutch is probably still living off the money he made down there from Carlos. Carlos was a good payday guy, and Dutch would come in there and just fill that stadium every week.
He also stopped going after '88, after the
that's true
Brody incident.
Dutch did go back, but it was a long time afterwards. Okay. It was, I mean, some guys went back like the next week, not many, but Dutch was one that ended up going back as a booker.
Right.
Because they made an angle out of Hugo picking him up at the airport. It was like on their television. It was a big deal when Hugo picked up Dutch at the airport. That meant like, oh, we've got a real booker now. The shows are going to get better.
Right. Well, who was the booker during the time that they decided they were going to have Carlos and Invader 1 kind of have that angle where Carlos alluded to the incident that...
Well, anything with Carlos was probably booked by Carlos.
Okay.
But other than that, it was probably Savio Vega.
Okay.
Was booked a lot down there.
Yeah, and, that does make
Chicky
sense.
Star booked a lot in Puerto Rico.
That does make sense. Well, Invader 1 too. He was booked.
Oh yeah. I'd rather forget he exists. Frankly.
It's so funny though that not funny. It's just so kind of it's so dark, the fact that he was involved in the murder, and then it's like a decade later you're going down there on a tour and it's like, oh, he's the booker? Yeah. How the hell did this happen?
Yep. Yeah.
That's the power he had in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, and nothing ever happened.
Nothing. He didn't serve a day. Didn't
Jim
serve
Ross
a day.
Jim Ross said on his podcast he was supposed to testify, and so Carlos had somebody pick him up and just drove him around Puerto Rico for like hours on end and missed the actual testimony. It's like whoopsie daisy.
That is still, I think.
That's where the whole show down the line.
I think
that is coming up on 38 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, this happened before you guys were born, pretty much.
No, I was born in '83, so this did. Well, but I didn't know.
Making me younger though, I appreciate it.
5 years old, you don't remember Brody getting killed, or if you do,
yeah, I remember the Iraq War. That's a fair point.
Memory.
My brother was the one who kind of told me about Brody quite a bit. Like he told me about the legend because when I got into this, I had no idea who he was,
right?
But, and then by the time that he told me about the story, and I was just like, "What do you mean he got stabbed in the locker room?" And then I really didn't
shower.
Yeah, and then but I didn't know it was in the shower. I just heard that it was in the locker room, and then you didn't find out until.
I think the guy who stabbed him does a handful of. I've got him on document somewhere. I think the guy who stabbed him does a handful of WCW matches in the transition period from NWA to WCW. I think they actually had the Super Invaders on at least once.
I mean, again, that doesn't surprise me because I was looking at this card and I'm like, they brought Stan Spivey back. Didn't he just walk out on them like a year and a half before?
Before we dive too much in, I do want to ask. So at the time this show's going on, Superbrawl 1, Scott, what are you up to in 1991 at this time?
Steve Prazak and I are doing the Georgia. It was called Georgia All-Star Wrestling then, the local Georgia promotion. What Georgia Championship evolved into, the weekly, Georgia Championship show. I think we had 7 or 8 stations. We were part of the 8-hour block on Channel 69 in Atlanta. So we were doing that, and we were getting ready to launch the Global Wrestling Federation on ESPN. I think that was only a couple of months away.
We have got to do a Global Wrestling Federation show at least one time.
I did a podcast. I think it was before the last time we were all together. It just didn't come up, but it was me and John Horton, Craig Johnson, the other announcer, like John Tatum, James Beard, the referee. Oh God, Bill Irwin. And we were
on
like
this show, by the way.
It was just global. My bad. It was great. We had a blast. I mean, I'm friends with Horton. I mean, I talk to him weekly, But those other guys I hadn't talked to in years, and it was so fun just to relive everything. Mike Davis on the bungee cord and all that stuff. It was amazing.
Oh, God, I remember the bungee cord match. Oh, my God.
Yeah, it was good stuff.
Yeah, I got my shows crossed. There we go.
I'm like, you brought up the bungee cord. I'm like, oh, wait, I forgot that happened.
Yeah, of all the stuff that Global did, and Global did some really good stuff, that was not our finest hour.
I mean, but
Hey,
as
every
far as
promotion gets an hour like that.
Yeah.
Just be glad yours wasn't hanging off of a cross like ECW.
Oh, boy. Yeah. That would have hurt.
I mean, to think AEW, though, was able to skate having, like, a crown of thorns on someone on, like, Good Friday. Like, but what a much different place now. Because it's like, if that happened, like, 20 years ago, there would be such an uproar. There may have been a consideration of a cancellation by Nat Turner. But considering the fact that the landscape's changed now, that's happened in the last 5 years. And I didn't even hear an inkling of people being mad about it. I just saw it and I was just like, I don't know if you want to do that, but no one cared.
That's true.
Like nobody really even brought it up. That's what I felt like kind of the show a little bit, because it was like you could tell coming into it that they had a lot of expectation. Of course, Super Brawl, the concept, the name, Super Brawl, Super Bowl. You know, it is a perfect wrestling marquee kind of show name. Like, it is absolutely perfect.
I gotta say, when it comes to Super Brawl shows in WCW, for the most part, it's my experience that Super Brawls often ended up being what Starrcade was supposed to be. Because, in even some of the worst years of WCW, I thought the Super Brawl shows normally were one of the ones you could rely on to be half decent. Even here in 91, I mean, this is not a perfect card, but this is 1991 we're talking about. You get a lot worse than Super Brawl.
That's shooting fish in a barrel. There was
the
WCW put on bad pay-per-views. You'll never go broke betting. Yes, I mean, God, that's like 80%. You know, for every Super Brawl one, we had sold out.
Oh God! Oh,
uncensored.
Can I set the table for Super Brawl 1 since it feels like we're about to jump in?
Yes, absolutely.
And I sent you guys this earlier. I started writing and being a stringer for the sheets back in 1984, 85 for Dave Meltzer at the Observer, and for Wade Keller and the Torch, and for Ron Lemieux and Arena Reports, and Steve Beverly on Mat Watch. I would go, and Steve Prazak, my best friend, and I would drive 3 and 4 hours from Atlanta to cover a 3-hour WCW taping, all jobber matches, you know, and write the results and send them in. So we were nuts about that. So
that's dedication.
But it was a great
era of computers.
Insane. But it was Super Brawl wasn't the first time we did this, but it was the biggest get together of sheet writers and subscribers and smart fans ever. There must have been 45 of us down there. And they came from all over the country. Dave was there. Wade was there. Lemieux was there. He's from Florida. Steve Beverly was there. We all came down. The Atlanta boys, you know, the group of us, Greensboro, Front Row Section D, all of these smart fan groups. I'm sorry?
Was Apter there? Bill Apter?
Oh, God. Yeah. Yeah, he was. Yeah, Apter was at every one of these. And he's great, too. So we all went and drove down to my parents' house down in South Georgia, crashed there to break up the trip. Broke it up into about a 4-hour trip down there, then 4 hours down to St. Pete, and spent the whole weekend there. Got there Friday, went to an indie show. No, I didn't go to an indie show. Went to an indie show Saturday night. WWF was running
Sundome, I think.
Like the Sundome, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we didn't go to that, and we'll talk about it later if you want. We went to a show at the Sulphur Springs Harbor Club that was one of the greatest indie shows of all time. And we can talk about that later on. But there was a group of smart fans, and we were all in ringside seats, front row, second row, third row. You watch pay-per-view, you can see us all sitting there. No, we were just all over the place. So we were there live, right there to watch everything.
So
having a great time.
So what was the draw as far as you're concerned for a lot of the dirt sheet writers like Dave and all that? Was it the Fujinami Flair match?
Yes.
Or was it the tag match between the Steiners and between Sting and Luger?
After the fact, it was Steiner, Sting, and Luger. That was amazing. But going in and why we made the trip down and why everybody wanted to go was to see Fujinami. I mean, you're not going to get to Japan unless you really have, save up for years and years and years and, whatever. And it's a lot of logistics to get over there and get tickets, and you're in the Egg Dome and 80 million people.
This is his first time in a major show in America, Fujinami?
Yeah. Well, no, he had done WWF shows. He was the WWF
light heavyweight champion.
Yeah, light heavyweight champion back in the 70s. So he had done shows in America a lot, but not since he became, the standard bearer for New Japan. So it was seeing Fujinami live. That's why we went. And he was terrific. But it's hard to beat Steiner, Sting, and Luger. That was amazing.
Or that Bobby match was really good too.
Yeah. This show was feast or famine, and that's a cliche, but the good matches were spectacular.
I have a question for you as a commentator. I have a question. Okay. We haven't got to ask about him too much because he pops up sporadically on pay-per-views, but what do you think about Dusty Rhodes as a commentator? I've heard both sides of the coins. Commentator. He
is, first off, working with Dream was a dream. He's crazy fun to work with. I mean, I've heard people, he doesn't have a lisp in real life and all that other stuff. But when you're doing the broadcast, it's everything you can do not to crack up. Because he's just a genuinely nice.
You got a bicycle.
I love that.
we were doing, God, I don't know if it was Saturday night. We were doing something doing it in the studio. And, you're sitting watching. You got two big monitors, one for me, one for Dream, and then the glass behind them with the sound guys. And we're, got cans on, and we're calling the match with wraparounds. And it was Mickey Honda and somebody else, Japanese women, and they couldn't, I can't remember what her real name was or what her name was, but they called her Miss A because they knew Dusty couldn't get his lips around what her real name was. So it was Mickey Honda and Miss A, and they were working another female tag team. I don't think they were working a Japanese female tag team. They were probably working Leilani Kai and somebody like that, which would have been a terrific match. And the other team, the Japanese girls were babyface, the other team healed. They had a heel manager, and it may have been Sonny Ono. Now I think about it. All that to say this: Mickey Honda hit the manager. Let's say it was Sonny. I'm not sure it was. Hit him with a chair that Sonny had brought into the ring. Let's just say Sonny. And so she, the old spot, take the chair and waffle the heel manager, that spot. Dusty said, and Mac may want to bleep this out, Dusty, I swear to God, we're sitting in the studio, just goes, shit him. And I looked over, and I'm like, well, we're about to stop this. We're going to have to pick this back up. And he was saying she hit him. But it sounded for all the world like shit him. Oh, well. All right, we can go pick that back up from about 20 seconds ago. And no, we just kept going. That's the kind of stuff that I remember from working with Dream. Now, as watching him as a commentator as a fan, I couldn't do it, because I didn't hear him really do a lot of commentary. I heard him do some, obviously, but not a lot until I got to work with him. But like on this show, he was fine. I was watching it in preparation. He was good. He was dusty, but he was still good.
My favorite Dusty Rhodes as a commentator moment is from the Great American Bash '96 after Bischoff had been put through a friggin' table.
Oh yeah.
And Dusty just gets up and he has this very serious "We're at War" speech with the camera. And Dusty is not funny. He's telling you like it is, like the war is on. The Pearl Harbor's here. The Japanese are coming. It was that kind of speech, and I've always loved that moment.
Yeah, and that's a great point. But Dusty could pick his spots because he's a whole lot of shit him and all that stuff. And then every now and then he does a promo like that, or he does the Hard Times promo, or he does the "This'll Never Be Over" with Ole Anderson back in '81. Where you think like, whoa, this isn't funny, Dusty. This is.
He drives Vince Russo out of TNA in 2004.
Yes, yeah, that's right. That's right. I was there for that.
Hold on. Okay, back up. The long-standing rumor is that it was a kayfabe poll that Dusty was supposed to win, and Vince Russo got mad that he lost anyway and walked out. Is that true?
I doubt it. I don't know. But that sounds...
It sounds like fan-made shit?
That sounds like something that was just made up. Yeah. I can't imagine, as much as I've worked with Vince and Dusty, that both of them know they've forgotten more about the business than I'll ever learn. And they're not going to take anything that serious, especially in 2000 and something, maybe 1983. Yeah. But hell, Vince would have been 10 years old or whatever. I don't think so.
Why do you leave TNA then in 04? Because we probably won't get to cover this. Might as well hit it.
Yeah.
I don't know why he did. Vince. I love Vince. I'm still in touch with Vince. I've talked to him. Gosh, this month. Love Vince to death. He's great, but he does tend to rub people the wrong way. He's opinionated. He thinks he's the president of the Vince Russo fan club, but that's coming from somebody who's probably the vice president. Because I like everything he's done. I enjoy working with him and seeing what he comes up with. But in this business, that's just going to get you heat, and it gets him heat.
I will extend the same invitation to Vince Russo that I will extend to Larry Zbyszko.
You know what you need is to have those two together.
I
mean, you'll never get Vince and Jimmy together. That ship has sailed. But getting Vince with Larry would be fun.
When we first brought Dan onto the podcast, we asked him who his least favorite wrestler was. And then we asked him how he would treat the guy if he was on our show. So to which we say, even if we hate the guy, we're going to treat him like he's an honored guest. So if Russo ever comes, he'll be an honored guest.
Yeah,
I can bet you dollars to donuts that if you got Vince on and asked him about Ledge, he would blow sunshine up Legend's ass for 2 hours. Because Legend is exactly what Vince liked. Legend would go in there and be in the ring for 12 minutes and not lock up. He would argue with the crowd and get heat, and the people are entertained and they're loving it. And wherever the baby is over there, doing the bit where you lay up in the corner, on the top rope, and nobody's even locking up. In 12 minutes in, and they've got 15 minutes, and 12 minutes in, they haven't touched. That, I can tell you from working with Vince, that's like match of the year. That you told a story and got heat and got a reaction and had people throwing cups and plates at you without even touching the other guy. That's just a great way. And that's what Legend could do. You want to, start calling him Spudhead and that kind of stuff, and he just put one foot through the rope and argue with a guy in the front row. Meanwhile, never locking up.
That is a lacking skill. Like the only guy I know
right.
that has that right now is MJF. MJF, I think, could do that.
Yes, I agree.
Just about it.
But
Maybe no, MJF and Dominic. Those are the two people who I think could do that today. That's it.
I agree with
Dominic,
MJF. Dom is tough because he's really turning the corner to being a face, I feel like, at this point.
Dom's crossing over, and that's starting.
I think Cornette one. I think it was Cornette. They probably both said it. I think Cornette once said that sometimes a heel can get so much heat they'll eventually turn face. People just
that's
decide.
Dominic Mysterio.
Like him now.
Right.
That's Dom. I never thought that would be possible, but he's going to be a babyface soon.
Yeah, I agree. Everybody's going to be a babyface. But I'll tell you somebody else that could do it. But I don't know that he's ever done it. Would be LA Knight. I think LA Knight could do that.
He most likely could. I just don't think that you'd want to kind of. You sell way too much merch. You don't want to.
Yeah, he's not going to turn heel.
No, you're not going to want to turn him.
If you turn him heel, he's going to stay heel. You're just going to get loved.
Right. Like he's in that Austin category of, or like he's in that category of even if you turn him into a heel, he's just going to get cheered anyway. So.
Correct.
First time I saw him was not wrestling. It was he had a minor guest spot on Brooklyn Nine-Nine as one of Rose's short-term boyfriends or something. I think it was Rose, one of them. She's like he had a couple, he had like 2 or 3 episodes there. It was real quick. He was credited as Eli Drake.
Of course,
makes sense.
I hadn't been watching TNA, so I didn't really know him from there.
I mean, I've noticed the ratings since they went to AMC. Not many people are watching them now.
Yeah, that's very
fortunate. I figured with AMC that their visibility would go up, but also too that the way that they've handled their television, like that first episode they came out with, which was not good.
Let's just say it doesn't look like TNA's learned its lesson about how to promote itself from the Dixie days.
It's well, considering the fact of the debut episode, they bring Dixie Carter out like she's a prominent figure in that company's history. It's like, no, they don't like her. That base hates her. You don't want to bring her out.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to remind them.
Now, if they had their closest to Steve Austin equivalent just come out and just hit a finisher on her, probably would have been fine.
Yeah, exactly. But no, they didn't.
I mean, Linda, when Austin stunned Linda, it was one of the worst looking stunners of all time. But it's fine because Austin's stunning Linda, and that's cool.
Well, now it's very well.
When Donald Trump was president the first time, there was a photo of Donald Trump and Vince and Shane. Linda and Hunter and Shane and I think Kid Rock and a bunch of other people. And the meme went around that Austin has stunned everybody in this picture.
Yes,
because he stunned Trump at when they were doing the billionaire versus billionaire hair versus hair match.
That was where the barbershop chair got its own entrance.
Yeah.
One of the loudest
just the chair.
One of the loudest pops at any WrestleMania party I've had is when Trump got stunned by Austin.
Yeah.
Like that was everybody went nuts. And I was like because we were also teetering. We were like, is he going to do it? Like cuz Trump never likes to see Trump is somebody that's like he doesn't want to show weakness. He doesn't want to look like a fool or anything like that. It's funny, right? That's what he wants perception to be, but at the same time, it's like meh. And so I was thinking, I'm like, there's a chance, but I don't know. Like I thought the chances of it was like 2% that we were going to see a stunner on Trump. And when he took it, I was surprised. It looked like shit, but he took it nonetheless. Like I was like stunned.
Well, he probably felt he could take it because he got to hit Vince earlier that show.
That's true. you know, and I knew it was probably going to happen though when Austin handed him the beer that he threw the beer behind his back, and I'm like, oh, you don't do that, and then Austin just catches him, and I'm like, yes, but I look like crap, but he did it anyways though. Like
it's like getting kissed on the cheek in The Godfather. You know, it's not going to end well.
It's not going to end well. But Austin too, I'm sure Austin has that picture probably hung up on like his wall somewhere. It's like, I stunned the president of the United States. Yeah. Like that's something you can hang your hat on, at least in the wrestling business. So go ahead, David. Sorry.
So let's see. Talk about some of the actual show.
Yes.
What do you think about? What do you think about the Young Pistols? We're talking Tracy Smothers and Steve Armstrong as a team. I mean, they're up against the Freebirds, but we don't ever get to talk about the Young Pistols very much. So I wanted to know what your take on them is.
Loved them. Love the Young Pistols. They came in as the, wild-eyed Southern boys, just covered in the Confederate flag stuff, and that was in Crockett Promotions. And it was during the transition to being owned by Turner. And so the Turner people were like, we are not having anybody, wrapped in the Confederate flag on our wrestling show. Come up with something different. So Steve and Tracy came, as I recall, came up with this gimmick themselves and went and paid for the outfits and the gimmick, and WCW, the powers that be, heard, the committee loved it. And and there's no getting around their work. Their work is spectacular. They're just two, Southern babyface, red meat babyface, Southern Territory guys who, and obviously Steve is second generation, but I can't say enough good about them. I love the Young Pistols. Should have had a bigger run. Never, for whatever reason, just could never get as over as I think they should have been. But I would have kept coming back to them. Love those guys.
I think the revolving door of WCW leadership from this point to about 93 probably gotten away for a lot of people getting over. If they had they were able to stick with one booker for a good solid 2-3 years, they might have or at least other people would have probably got more than they did.
Right. I think that's true.
To be fair, though, I have to kind of, because I think Dusty's the booker at this point.
Yeah.
I don't really kind of blame Dusty. Well, there's some things in the show that I'm like, what the hell are you doing? But at least I blame more Herd during this time than I do Dusty, because Herd at this point, all the decisions that he's making is leading to why a lot of this stuff is going on. Like the Flair stuff is inexcusable because, of course,
we're not too far from Flair being fired,
right? And I'll talk more about my observation of Flair when we get to the main event. But at the same time, like you could definitely tell with Herd, this is all Herd. Like I'm blaming the majority of this on Herd. Because Dusty, it's like he's still, because he was still at the Royal Rumble in '91, so he's coming in late January, early February to WCW, right. And this is the middle of May, so it's like he's still in like the first 3 or 4 months of his tenure. So I can't really sit there and get mad at him for that.
I agree.
He's still trying to turn stuff around at this point.
All you need to do is. Go ahead, David. I'm sorry.
I think a booker of a national promotion probably needs a good solid year to really get everyone to help find their feet for the most part, at least. I mean, it's like even when Triple H took over, I'm not saying I'm enjoying his creative right now. I'm certainly not, but you could tell it took a year for him just to find his footing. And every other time I've seen creative change, it seems like it just takes 6 months to a year for anyone to really get crap down. And in this case, if Dusty's only been there like a few months, he probably he might even be working with plans and stuff that was talked about while Dusty was still in Vince land.
Right.
That's true. And one need only look at what happened when Jim Herd was in charge, and there's still some of that stuff on Superbrawl and after. But like Matt Bourne as Big Josh. What's wrong with Matt Bourne? He's great. Why do this stupid Big Josh and PN News and I'm sure we'll get to it, but Johnny B. Bad, which I didn't mind that character. Yeah, there was a whole lot of Jim Herd trying to be WWF light back then, and everybody, all of us that were sitting down there in St. Pete were like, why are they trying to copy the WWF? They should be putting on an alternative to the WWF because they'll never be them. So why try? Be something different. Be the best WCW instead of a cheap knockoff of the WWF, which is what they ended up being at that level, at that lower mid-card level.
Their house shows collapsed around this, started collapsing. Between that and firing the Warriors. The Ultimate or the Road Warriors.
Well, they weren't fired, so they were fired / quit. Same thing with the thing that happened with Cornette and like Stan Lane. Same thing that happened with Flair. It was like they lost so many people that just cracked, like that they just wore down completely like a nub, and they just was like, that's it, I'm done. Like we can't do this anymore.
It's honestly astonishing WCW didn't go out of business under Jim Herd, because if Big Man Ted Turner didn't just want to just keep the doors open, it would have, because they wouldn't have been able to pay off their debt. As I understand, their debt was easily 8 figures.
Yeah, it was big.
This show is. It's funny you said that, Scott, because this show I think exemplifies the alternative that you were talking about. They need to be the alternative considering the main event. This is a smart mark main event considering you got Meltzer there, you got Wade Keller there, you're there. Like all these like ringside reporters, all these observer writers / readers, they're all at the show because the main event is Tatsumi Fujinami, the IWGP champion, and Ric Flair. Not title for title, it's for Flair's championship, but this is a marquee, old school wrestling fan. This is what you want. This is a big time main event. And then you have things like Big Josh and Oz on the same show where you're like, what the hell am I watching?
Oz.
Agreed.
So you're so right in the aspect of it's like they're trying to cater to the hardcores, but yet at the same time they want the WWE audience.
It was a schizophrenic way to book a wrestling promotion, and the fact that, as David said, that WCW almost went under in that run is not surprising. They couldn't commit to one booking vision to save their life. I mean, if you put a proverbial gun to their head and said, decide what you're going to be, they would still give you Oz and PN News and whatever the hell else. The whole Wizard of Oz cast. How much money did they spend on costumes and hiring actors to come out there to be Dorothy and the Tin Man and all this other stuff, just to run away, to stand there and stare at Kevin and then run off.
And then
that was probably $1,000.
Like, how do you get a guy? What is Kevin Foot? Kevin, is he 6'10", 7 foot?
No, he's probably 7 foot.
He's just 7 foot. I heard.
He's one of the biggest guys. He's bigger than the Undertaker. He's smaller than Andre. He's bigger than the Undertaker. He's one of the largest imposing wrestlers there's ever been. And while Jim Cornette can say he only has 8 moves, the fact is he still has a lot more mobility than most people his size.
6.
Right.
You get a guy like that. What you
including the hair flip.
You get a guy like that.
6 moves, including the hair flip.
Yeah, it's like you don't need turn that guy into the Wizard of friggin' Oz. You just need to have him get out there and look scary.
But he had been Master Blaster, and he had been
trying to catch the
Vegas, and it just wasn't working.
No. So, maybe they were thinking Undertaker, because Undertaker was kind of getting. Undertaker had been going on for about 3-4 months in WWE side. Maybe they're thinking if we could do something creepy like the Undertaker, it might work.
That's true.
Respectfully, and they picked the Wizard of Oz to do that.
First of all, Oz is a place. It's not even a person.
That too, exactly.
Like and Kevin Nash pointed out. Sorry, Scott.
We were still under Turner. We were under Turner Sports back then. That hadn't gone into Time Warner, AOL, and all this other jazz. We were still just Turner, and Turner had bought the movie library of MGM.
Oh yeah.
So we had access to that intellectual property. So it didn't cost us anything to do that because we owned it. We owned the
library. MGM is in its own right.
Yeah, actually, I think there was a whole lot of that behind it too.
Actually, I have a comment. We now have an interviewer, a comment from the CEO of Warner Brothers at the time.
Oh my god!
Comment. So this is going back to the opening contest. You got the Young Pistols versus the Fabulous Freebirds. Where 1991, the Fabulous Freebirds are fighting for a mid-card tag team championship as your opener. It's like, it's not Dallas '82, but okay. Like,
it's not hot. I think you should give some credit where it's due. It's the finish that's all. It's the finish just goofy as all hell. A giant bird comes in. I believe I have read somewhere that was probably Brad Armstrong in the bird costume. But a giant bird comes in for the finish. That's where. I mean, it's 1991, and yeah, it might be a few years past their big time moments, but with that roster and that time. And I have the Freebirds. Hell yeah, I'd put them on a show. Why the hell not? But
sure,
finish the match with a giant freaking bird.
I don't understand that. I'm 100% in agreement. The match was fine. The match was actually really, really good.
Really, really good.
But yeah, that finish, and it was Brad. And the reason
it was, that's what I thought.
Yeah, it was Brad. And the reason I can tell you how they did it was because Brad came out at the front of the match, and they sent him and Humperdinck out.
Right.
And so it was like, okay, well, that can't be Brad Armstrong. He was just out here, but he had gone backstage and put the gimmick on. And then he was Fantasia for the next 4 or 5 months or however long it lasted. Not long.
Jim Hart had just watched a Survivor Series like 3 days before, didn't he?
Probably.
They used the bird.
There's a turkey. I love it.
I love this idea.
Yeah, that's right. That bird they had was over. It's their own bird.
Can you get me that extra cheese pizza over there? Thanks.
Yeah.
Fucking guy.
Wow.
I wish that Okerlund was alive and I had the means to ask him what it was like dancing with a giant friggin' turkey on Thanksgiving.
Well, I could probably tell you. It was the shits, Dave. It was the absolute shits.
That's exactly what he would say. But you know what else? The check from that night didn't bounce.
Yeah, that'd be a fair point.
They gave me a $28,000 payday for that show.
The bird looks like a Tengu warrior from the Power Rangers show.
Yeah.
And the Brad Armstrong bird.
And to think Taker had a 50% chance that it was going to work out or not. Because it's like, you could have been Eggman.
You could have been Eggman.
But at least you're the Undertaker. It's like, all right.
That's a great point. Think about that. If they call, and I've heard Taker's take, as it were, on that, and I respect that guy more than you could possibly imagine. But if they now looking at this through hindsight from 35 years later, yeah, he dodged a bullet by not being the Eggman. But think about what he had to hear. Let's see, we're debating whether or not to shave you from the crown of your head to your bottom of your feet and dust you white and make you the wrestling egg, pretty much. Or we're going to make you like the old man in Poltergeist and make you the guy that runs the funeral home. Which one of those two would you want to do? But now we know he made the right call because he's so talented and they knew what they were doing. But neither one of those sounds like money, honestly. We now know that it was. But if you had just laid that out, how about, can I just be mean, Mark?
You knew it was money the second you looked out in the audience and a bunch of kids were scared half to death.
Oh, yeah. God. Within 30 seconds, he was money. He came out and everybody in the audience was just like one of the few times I haven't, you didn't hear anybody. It was like a eerie, it was the good silence. What the fuck am I watching? Legitimate, fear of just what the hell am I watching?
You won't bitch at me for cussing, but you go, fuck.
Right. That's right. So he made the right call and they had the vision. But you know what? It makes me wonder, how good would the egg thing have been?
The egg taker.
The egg. The Eggman is here. It's the Eggman. Oh my God!
Look at it, Jesse. Look at
the Eggman. Oh Jesus!
What's his finish? What's his finish at that point?
Oh, the scrambler.
The whisker.
The scrambler.
He does the old Mike Rotunda airplane spin and.
He's giving him the omelet.
He does a big man splash and he calls it sunny side up.
Oh, God.
See, I was thinking about that for the end of days. He does the end of days and it's the sunny side up.
Poached. Yeah, he just choke slams and they call it poached.
He's giving him the poached. Oh, my God. Oh,
that's what we're doing. We're rebooking 1991 for the WWF.
The worst way possible.
Hulk Hogan and the Eggman.
Guaranteed bankrupt.
Survivor Series 1991.
We're just proving why we shouldn't have the book. But speaking of people related to The Undertaker, I wanted to ask your opinion about Dan Spivey in the business.
Yeah.
Oh, and Ricky. Yeah, what's your take on Dan Spivey in general?
University of Georgia football player, so I love that. But tough as nails. You won't find anybody. Rephrase. Back in the day, if there was a discussion of who's some of the guys you don't want to mess with, even then Haku was still there. You didn't want to mess with Doc, and you didn't want to mess with Spivey. He was tough. And he was afraid of nothing. Spivey's only problem was he was injury prone. I mean, he had a good attitude. He was easy to work with. I mean, except for that one jobber guy with him and Sid, where they just destroyed him because he wouldn't sell. He's easy to work with.
I'm ass on him, that jobber. I mean, you ain't gonna sell for Dan Spivey and Sid. Do you?
Well, they say you'll sell this. I think that was the famous quote. But no, the Spivey's only issue was that he had horrible knees, and that's he's a football player. That's going to happen.
According to the Undertaker, Dan Spivey even intimidated the Road Warriors.
I believe that. I believe that. He was a tough guy. I would, when he did the Waylon Mercy bit in the WWF, I thought that was inspired because you could tell from that gimmick he wasn't going to be doing a whole lot of bumps because I knew that he couldn't go like he used to could when he was Starship Eagle.
That felt like the first run of the initial Bray Wyatt gimmick, the first attempt at that.
It was. That's exactly right. And it's just a shame, his knees gave out on him. He's still around. He's lost a ton of size. He's probably pushing 200 pounds on the way back down. He's still in shape, but not as big as he used to be. Still as tall, obviously.
Probably takes a lot of pressure off the joints, especially the knees.
Yeah.
he may have gotten replacements or something like that at this point, too.
I don't know, but I would be shocked if he didn't. Not playing ball and bumping around as long as he did. And he worked Japan, too, which is not easy for a big guy. You got to work that big guy style.
Even traveling over there is a nightmare. Like,
oh, wait, what's he, 6'9"?
He's got, I think he's like...
He's huge. I mean, speaking of legends, Zabisco, if you ever get Legend on here, ask him about when he went to Japan with Haystacks Calhoun.
Oh, boy.
It's a great story.
The way they have Dan Spivey come out is the way that Kevin Nash should be coming out in 1991.
Yeah, that's I agree.
No, that's great observation there.
And then he did. And then when he came back to us with the NWO and the Outsiders, he was basically doing Dan Spivey's gimmick.
Yeah, that's kind of what Diesel is, except they threw in the Diesel horns.
Yep.
Right. Exactly right.
He's a little bit more charismatic, and that's not a knock on Dan, but it's just
true. That's true.
I'm actually going to get a chance to meet Kevin. I'm going to get the chance to meet Kevin Nash in April because he's coming to my town for Comic-Con.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I met him back in 2021 at a signing.
Him and Lita and Devon Dudley.
Nice. Lex Luger and the Hardy Boys are going to be in town doing a signing in March.
I met Jeff. Jeff was really nice.
I met Lex Luger when I was 10. That was the famous story of it was the Lex Express, and he signed the promo. He signed the promo for me and slid it across the table. Didn't even look up. Didn't even acknowledge my existence. And from that day forward, it was like, well, you're done, pal. Like,
but I agree. Lex, especially during that Lex Express time, was his own worst enemy. But since he's been out of the business since the run was over, generally one of the nicest guys in the business. He went from being, and he would tell you this, one of the biggest jerks, maybe the biggest jerk in the locker room at WCW, to being now genuinely one of the nicest guys I've ever met.
That's one thing I don't understand about the way they did Lex when he went in the WWF. I don't know if it's a booking decision or a Lex decision or what. In WCW, especially in the late 80s and like 1990, Lex was a power guy, but he was an explosive power guy. He's the kind of guy that just like practically just slide across the ring and shoulder tackle somebody. Always with that intense, always with that super intense scream when he's doing it. It's like everything he ever did was like JR used to always say he wasn't quick, he's sudden. And for a lot of people, that doesn't really make sense. But for Lex, it does. Because that's how he's not quick, he's sudden. But then he gets into WWF, and it's all slow and plodding. It looks like Hercules Hernandez or not Pedro Morales, who's the other one I'm thinking of. Really big guy. There's a bunch of them. Screw it. But the point is, it's like he's wrestling this same kind of big muscle style that everybody wrestled in WWF in the 80s. Not counting Ultimate Warrior. And it was like, why? Because that's what worked with Luger, was the rapid, sudden movement, big power.
He bought into the hype. He bought into the hype that Vince was going to make him the next Hulk. Remember when Lex jumped, he still had a no-compete with WCW, so Vince put him in the World Bodybuilding.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Which was a tragedy. But that let Lex get famous, or kept Lex famous, without putting him in the WWF.
Yeah, one thing for him, that metal pin in his arm, that was a good little gimmick they had going. But it worked better when he was a heel than he was a face,
he did. He had that metal rod in his arm.
But they worked it into the gimmick, though. That's what made I think it worked.
That was cool. It should have worked. This was not a Vince screwing up decision. This was Lex getting in his own way.
Well,
and he'll tell you that. He'll tell you.
That
he was supposed to slam Yokozuna on the Intrepid and basically just hip tossed him.
Yeah,
because he couldn't get him up, and even Yoko, who goes for anybody, he still couldn't get him up.
Hip lock.
Yeah, we had Ahmed Johnson on the show a couple years back, and Ahmed Johnson's slamming of Yoko was way more impressive, and Yoko's like 100 pounds.
Right. That's true.
No, Ahmed
was not a weak guy, too.
What'd you say?
Could throw weight around. Ahmed could throw weight around, too. I mean, he wasn't a weak guy. So if Yoko was going to help him, going to get up for Ahmed, then that was going to look good. And Yoko would have gone up for Lex, but Lex, I've heard Lex tell this story. He's out there on that ring on the Intrepid, and all the other guys had come in and tried to slam him and couldn't, and they did the bit. And then Lex comes in, and he's wearing cowboy boots, not wrestling boots. So it's like he's on ice skates in that ring. If you go back and watch that, he's sliding all over the place because he wore cowboy boots instead of wrestling boots, or hell, tennis shoes, anything. But that was just Lex. I'm sorry?
He could have been barefoot. It works for the Samoans.
Could have been barefoot. Yeah. Kevin Von Erich. But it was just Lex getting in his own way. Then he goes on that bus tour. They had the bus all painted up. And then it's like Dan's experience. You're just one of literally tens of thousands that had the same experience.
And that adds up. That adds up to people who don't want to come see you.
That's right. For every Dan, he's got 10 friends, or 20 or 30 or 50 friends. He goes like, God, Lex couldn't have been a bigger dick to me. And then that multiplies quickly.
We all kind of were Bret Hart fans anyways. It was like we all wanted Bret. I went as Bret actually for Halloween that year. I wanted Bret Hart to be champion more than anything because it was like, well, he's my guy. Even though it was like, I was still, like, I wasn't mad at WrestleMania 9 when Hogan won the belt like everybody else was. Because, I was 9. I didn't know any better. But at the same time, it's like, I still want to be Bret to be champion. So even when Lex came in and all of a sudden they made him, like, when they even before I went to the signing, I was still like, why is he was healed too, he was the narcissist like 2 months ago, and now all of a sudden he's like, that was the first time I noticed that it was kind of like, this is a little off. They're kind of hot. I didn't know the terminology of hot shotting, but I felt like it was just like, this is being a little rushed.
Yeah, I agree. Well, one thing, I don't know if you remember this, but when they brought Lex in initially, and he was the heel and, had the mirror bit and all that.
Right.
They didn't call him Lex Luger. They called him Narcissus.
Yes.
They didn't call him the narcissist, Lex Luger. He was just Narcissus. Yes. I thought that was pretty cool.
I thought his presentation when he was like at the beginning was really, really good. Yeah. Like I didn't hate it. The problem that I had is that it's just like, okay, like 1 second he's a heel that we're supposed to, and all of a sudden it's like, well, because America.
Yeah. And we have to root for this
guy. It's like,
guy for some reason.
But we haven't been at war with Japan since like in 50 years. Like, why are we doing this?
Well, credit where it's due. They actually had a really effective "Screw You, Canada" angle in '97, where like, they're our ally, they're in NATO, we hate Canada. It can be done.
And then everybody hated Canada. We did it. And when I was in TNA, we had a TNA, we hate Canada bit with Bobby Roode and Petey Williams and Scott D'Amore.
Yeah, it
Everybody
was
hated Canada.
The negativity of Canada, and it's just like, what has Canada done to anybody to deserve
really
wrestling?
And every one of the guys in all of those factions, Petey and Roode and Scott, and then you had Lance Storm, and of all people, Jim Duggan and Elix Skipper in Team Canada, and Major Guns, who, as we talked about before, famously wore the ceremonial caribou hoof when she was out at ringside. And then you had Brett and Owen and Brian and Davey Boy, like the nicest guys, you know, and the best workers. You know, why would those guys be heels? But it worked.
Especially Lance Storm, because he never gets enough credit for being like one of the most smoothest in-ring workers I've ever seen.
No, he don't get the credit.
What Vince Russo did with Lance Storm, I thought was genius.
He did. Actually, I will give you 100% credit on that. Russo, I thought, did a great job in booking Lance Storm.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
Absolute, like that was one of the highlights as far as WCW 2000 is concerned, because Lance Storm was unreal.
Yeah, when he would come out and just, if I could just be serious for a minute, I'll pop for that every time. He was, I don't know if that, I remember Lance Storm told me in catering one day, well, he was just holding court, whoever he was telling, but I'm sitting there, that somebody asked him, when was the last time you had a donut? He said something like 1991. He had to think about it. He was like, it would have probably been at what's her name's birthday party. You know.
My favorite Lance Storm thing that he used to do was because I'm from Calgary, dramatic pause, Alberta, Canada.
Wonderful. I love Lance
on YouTube, Ring of Honor match with him against Daniel Bryan. It has to be one of the better matches I've ever seen.
Believe it.
Yeah, because you're talking about the one of the most underrated in-ring technicians ever, and then maybe one of the greatest, at least top 5. I mean, they're ready to give. Did they name the best wrestler award now to? I know they gave it to. It's Lou Thez and Ric Flair for the Observer. It's the best in-ring technician that they named the Bryan Danielson Award. So, I mean, which is a really cool honor, especially to have that kind of, you know, I sometimes look at the Observer and I kind of just, I'm like, but then, you know, I do have to give it its credit where it's credit is due. Especially today, Scott, when you sent over the Observer copies, today was the first time that I actually read an actual legitimate copy of the Wrestling Observer without reading the highlights. Historic. I'm like, wow.
I have every Observer from, it was the summer of 84 until probably 96. I have every one of them.
Oh, that's
bound in notebooks out in my garage.
You should hold on to that.
Yeah.
Well, which is what you're doing. There you go.
I mean, every now and then I'll just go grab one of those notebooks and just flip to a random issue and read it. It takes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes, and you can go back in time and you're like, oh yeah, I remember that. Oh God, I've forgotten about him. Whatever happened to her? And that kind of stuff. It's fun. It's a fun. I have those out on my dining room table when I got them out to send to you guys, and my daughter walks in and goes, "What is this?" You can imagine, she's 25, and so she's never known life that wasn't online. And like, they used to send these in the mail. Yeah, it used to come every Saturday.
You should have showed her a picture. This is the guy who used to write them, and showed her show her the picture of the mullet, Dave Meltzer. Be like, this is the guy who writes it
from the Phil Donahue show.
Oh God!
Yeah.
It's Vince and Dave Meltzer sitting next to each other. It's like
awesome.
The only time I think Vince has wanted to be sitting next to Meltzer, because Meltzer was the only one that really wasn't kind of like, because everybody was just like, "Fuck you, Vince," except Dave. Oh. Dave was just like,
Yeah. There on the Superbrawl show, maybe I'm the only person in the world who gets tickled by this. But when Missy Hyatt goes into the locker room and then gets chased out by Stan Hansen with skull coming out of his mouth, a bit of a bulge in his shorts, it's weird, and funny, and bizarre. And every time I watch it, I just can't help but laugh.
Yeah, that was good stuff. When I was looking at this and reading back over stuff, there was something that happened like that. Was it with New England Patriots? Some female reporter.
Yes, it was
something like that had happened, and she had written about it in SI. And so I think WCW was trying to play off of that, the controversy of having a female reporter in the locker room. It was in the news.
It's funny though.
I can't remember her name to save my life, but I think that's where that was the genesis of it. And of course it would be those two.
They probably just told Stan Hansen, just do your thing when she comes in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it wasn't like they were asking them to do Citizen Kane. Missy, be a bimbo. Stan, be a disgusting,
Stan, be Stan.
This was also
out of her.
Action.
This was also in the midst of Missy's prime too, like prime, yeah. There is no question around this time that she is the hottest girl in pro wrestling. Like it's not.
And she's also with Jason Hervey. This is during the Jason Hervey.
Oh, good Lord, that freaking guy.
I'm gonna tell you the truth. Jason Hervey was a really fun guy to hang around. When all of that ended, I think Jason Hervey had more friends in the business than Missy did.
It's hard to like him only because it's not because of because I'm sure he's a nice enough guy. But if anybody who watched the Wonder Years, you just
I never did.
How do you like that guy? He's
a dick. Yeah. It's just in that whole show he was a dick. So it's like, how am I going to sit there and want to take this guy seriously? And then all of a sudden you find out in real life, and then he was the dick in Pee-wee's movie, Big Adventure. He wouldn't give him his bike back. So everything that he's been in, he's a dick. And then all of a sudden, come to find out in real life, he's dating Missy Hyatt. So now it's like 3 strikes, you're out, pal. You're a dick. Because all these things that you're doing, he was the number one heel in wrestling for a while. Sure. Because everything he was doing was just like, you're not going to give Pee-wee his bike. You're treating your brother like a dick in the Wonder Years. And now you're dating Missy Hyatt. No wonder Paul Heyman hit you with the phone. Jeez.
I will say, if we're going to talk about the hottest woman in wrestling, there is someone who's getting ready to come up that will end up being one of the hottest women in wrestling. She's on this show as Alexander York. The computerized man, Red Rooster. He's not the Red Rooster here, though.
Cock-a-doodle-doo!
Oh, man.
Well, before we get to that, we have Dan Spivey and Ricky Morton. And then after that, Ricky Morton doing a kind of a squash match against the returning Dan Spivey, which we mentioned on Dan Spivey.
I assume Robert Gibson is still injured at this time, so this is Ricky Morton probably, guess what, just a little bit before his singles push.
Right. This was the booking behind this was Spivey's a monster. Spivey's back. Let's see what we can do with Spivey. Ricky can make anybody look good. He's the greatest of all time when it comes from fighting underneath. And we're about to change his gimmick because he was going to join the York Foundation. So this was like the last Ricky Morton. After that, it was Richard Morton.
Richard Morton.
I actually kind of like that. I kind of like that angle. It's like
I did too.
The one time Ricky Morton is anything else but himself, and it's but what he's used to be. And I actually kind of liked it. And again,
it was Richard Morton, Terrence Taylor, and Thomas Rich of the York Foundation.
The computerized man, Terrence Taylor
of the 90s. Yes.
And then later on, I forget his name. IRS shows up and joins it too, I think.
Michael Wall Street.
Michael Wall Street.
Yeah.
So what's funny is you mentioned Tommy Rich, who is going to be in the York Foundation. The next match, he faces Nikita Koloff, and he gets squashed. So it's like back-to-back squashes, and both these guys end up in the York Foundation.
Yeah, and
relatively
that was the
within weeks.
That was the angle.
Yeah,
they both lost to these monsters on Superbrawl, so they needed something. I'm Tommy Rich. I'm Ricky Morton. Why are we not able to beat these people? What's wrong? Alexander York, well, you're not making proper use of technology, and off we go.
It was a weird angle.
It was a weird angle, but
it some good matches, though.
It did.
Those guys, yeah, absolutely.
And I always thought that what she was able to do with Terry Taylor, also, especially after the horrendous run of the Rooster, to somehow get something out of him. And I liked his look too, especially later on in the card when he faces Dustin. But like this, I could definitely see what they're doing here. Yeah, you're right with the back-to-back squashes against these monsters, and now all of a sudden it's like, what do we got to do to get over the hump? I know. And then Alexandra York walks in with her 600-pound laptop, and here we go.
Yep. But at least it made sense.
It did. No,
I mean, unlike Oz, which made no sense at all.
Oh, don't worry, we'll get there, Scott.
Oh my God,
it's around. How many debuts are on this show? Because I think we got Oz. We've got Scott Hall is jumping over from AEW.
AEW
or not AEW, but AWA. I've said that before.
The Diamond Stud.
Johnny Dad also is up here. Because AWA had just it was either shut. Let's see, it's 91. AWA should be shutting its doors, and Scott Hall has got to go somewhere to work, and he hasn't quite figured out he's Razor Ramon yet. And so he shows up here, and he actually does like the toothpick thing,
right
before Razor Ramon. WWF sued WCW in '96 because he did some of the mannerisms like the toothpick thing. And that's a copy of Razor Ramon. But here he is as the Diamond Stud with a toothpick and kind of doing that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He also looks a little.
He's halfway between Magnum PI and Scarface. He's like in between the two looks right now.
He's in between, so it's kind of like a mixture of Magnum TA and then what Razor Ramon is going to be.
Because his AWA work, he looks like Magnum TA most of the time. Or not Magnum TA, but, technically Magnum TA, but I meant Magnum PI. But he looks like they were going for the Magnum PI look in AWA.
He's also like when he debuts in WWE in the summer of '92. He's also a lot lighter than what he is now. When he's in this, he is
jacked,
pretty goddamn big. Like it's really noticeable. He at this point, you're looking at him and you're just like,
there's a scandal about to change all this, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. It's like no wonder he didn't go to WWE in '91. Like not yet, not yet. Maybe someday, just not right now. Because our doctor just got arrested. Maybe we don't know. So yes, the debuting Diamond Stud was on the show, and then of course we have Oz later. It's so funny that both guys who were such an integral part within the company, and 5 years later, are on this show as almost like afterthoughts, including one gimmick being considered one of the worst of all time. So we go from Nikita Koloff and Tommy Rich to, some would argue, a little bit still of the beginning of the nepotism of Dustin Rhodes against Terrence Taylor, which is funny because Terrence Taylor is being managed by the future Mrs. Runnels in this matchup. And it's also a good contest again, which I don't think there's any... In my opinion, it doesn't matter who Dustin's son. Dustin is the son of. I'm trying to say this properly. Doesn't matter who the father of Dustin is. Dustin, in my opinion, is just really starting to come into his own as a worker. And at the same time, he was so damn good. So it's like, and I feel like the only thing that's giving him the push, so to speak, maybe is the last name of Rhodes, is all of a sudden being able to be kind of pushed into the baby face a little bit. Like automatically, it's just like, okay, you're supposed to cheer for him, but it's not like it's not earned, because I feel like he's doing enough in the ring and also starting to kind of butt his.
He doesn't have that. He doesn't have that. You Call Me the Natural theme yet, which I freaking love that song.
It is a great song.
They call him the Natural.
Natural.
Some of that stuff the WWE edited over. I checked a little bit of checking around for the music. They edited over. And it wasn't like they were editing over Tina Turner. It was WCW music production. And they were like, we got to replace that with some of our generic sounding shit. Because our generic sounding shit is where to go. And this show has quite a bit of that.
If you really want to cry yourself to sleep, go out and find, and I'm sure it's not on Spotify. God help me if it is. But find that WCW album from back then. And I think Michael Hayes wrote all or most of the songs. Like Ricky Steamboat the Dragon. And
you can find it on YouTube. You can find it on YouTube.
And all those. Those are, and I love Michael, but those are some of the worst wrestling entrance themes of all time.
Oh, come on. The man called Sting. The man called Sting. It's fantastic.
That is.
The man called Sting.
That is the shittest if I've ever heard it.
The simply ravishing Rick Rude theme.
I think that one's more of a Jimmy Hart production.
Awesome. It is awesome.
That's a Tina Turner mock up there, but I think that's Jimmy Hart production, not the Michael Hayes.
Barry Windham's theme song sounding like it's an Allman Brothers song. Like it's.
Oh, you know I'm talking about Barry Windham.
Yeah,
that's the song. You know I'm talking about Barry Windham.
Barry Windham. He's smoking.
God. Oh my God!
Sorry, I'm giving you flashbacks, but some
of those songs,
some of those songs are bangers. I'm telling you, Scott. You got to change your attitude on that. You got to change it up. You got to change it. Come on, it's better than anything WWE's putting out with the company they got now. Like anything.
Why did they get rid of Jim?
I don't know.
Has anybody come up with
Johnston's been out since the late Johnston was out somewhere between 2015 and like 2018. Yeah. He was already down, and then they kind of dumped him for the CFOs. And then the CFOs have turned into whoever the douchebags are running it now, who has exactly one good thing to their name, which is the Roman Reigns theme.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that they got one certified banger, okay?
Jim Johnston would have stuck around there forever. He would have never left. He would have died.
The good music production, as far as studio production goes, apparently belongs to AEW because their shit actually sounds good, and WWE's music is, especially for anything. Okay, somebody made a point. Watching a Royal Rumble, if you don't look at the faces of the wrestlers who's coming in or hear their names announced and the music plays, unless it's like Cody Rhodes, who's not even using a WWE production song, you don't know who the hell's coming in the damn ring.
You don't.
That's right.
You know, if you go back to like 1998, frickin' Val Venus goes in. We're talking low to mid card. You know who he is as soon as you hear that. As soon as you hear that little solo.
Ladies.
Hello.
Even if you hear the hello, ladies, cut that part out, you still know. But no, in modern days, it's like you just hear some random theme. If you don't look up and see it's frickin' that motherfucker, you're like, what the hell is this?
No, I'm 100% with you. You know, I think that's one of the lost arts. And don't forget, the WWE is sitting on that gold mine of composer to the stars, Michael Hayes. He works up there. He could come up with something, you know I'm talking about Gunther. That could debut Monday night.
Well, I mean, I'm after seeing Michael Hayes on WWE Unreal and being behind the decision to put Jey Uso in the World Heavyweight title picture last year to win the Royal Rumble. I don't know if I really want Michael Hayes working at WWE continuously, considering just
That guy, I mean, what? It's pushing 50 years that he's been in the business.
I know.
Because he started in 79, 78.
I think he's kind of aged out, in my opinion. It's
I'm not saying that he should still be, but you can't argue that he's still there.
No,
in a position of authority. That's, if you had said to me in 1981, somebody that you see on Georgia Championship, hey, that somebody you see on Georgia Championship Wrestling is going to still be in the business.
This is. Why is there a skeleton guy on your screen?
I've been wondering that for a while too, Mac. Sorry, she wanted to say hi before she got to bed.
Hi.
Good night.
Hi.
Good night. Yes, go to bed. I'll be here in a minute. I'll be right back.
Go ahead. But I would have never in a million years thought that it would still be that Michael Hayes would still be in the business, 45 years later.
I mean, I got to give him credit for the contributions he's made to the industry. I mean, the Freebirds is still a top 5, top 10 stable of all time.
Oh yeah.
Even though they were still there's still that part of me in 84 wishes that they never got fired from WWE, that they kind of figured it out, because I think that the landscape, especially with the Rock and Wrestling connection, would have been so much bigger with those guys involved. But also, too, I would have liked them to have especially a really good national promotion run. They got one, and 91, they opened the show, and everybody was still kind of like, but it was like, I don't know if anybody in WCW in 1991 really could have got over.
Nah.
No matter what, like it's just
not with Herd running things, but the Birds, from the run they had with Mid-South, the Junkyard Dog, Freebird Cream angle in the Superdome, and then they came to Georgia, and then they go to the WWF with David Wolf. Had they not been fired from that, if they had just stuck around, I don't know if they would have been big stars. They might have just been mid-card, lower mid-card, but we would have never had the Birds and the Von Erichs. We would have never had Michael Hayes on commentary with Jim Ross and UWF. They ended up coming back to Crockett and headlining against the Horsemen on the Bash tour in '87, I think. And then Gordy goes off with Doc to Japan to be a mega star, and Hayes is still in the business, working in the office in 2026. So getting fired from the WWF in whenever it was, 84, 83, that was probably the best thing that ever happened to them, because they went stratospheric after that.
Well, they had already done the Von Erich feud, because that was in 82. I mean, the Christmas night of 82 was the
right.
And then throughout 83, and then they already did Texas Stadium. It was right after the Texas Stadium show that they decided to make the jump, which, to be quite honest, that was probably the perfect time to do it. Just because of the fact that you can argue that after that you really couldn't come back after the Texas Stadium show. It's like, well, it's done. Fritz just beat us. It's like,
well, they did though.
Got it over. Yeah, they brought it back, but that was after they had already left and had to come back.
Right. And then they did Florida. They had a run in Florida with a Dutch Mantel booking. I just think losing that gig up there was probably the best thing for them, because I don't think they would have still been the big stars that they were. Granted, not nearly as big as they once were, but I think they would have been much lower down the card and forgotten had they stayed there. Granted, they weren't exactly setting it on fire afterwards, but I think it's better than where they would have been.
Speaking of forgotten, Big Josh versus Black Bart.
Yeah, forget that.
I don't know, man. The live bears coming out in the entrance of Big Josh is pretty fucking cool to me.
Yeah, I kind of was a bit of a sucker for the Bears too.
The Bears.
And didn't the Bears take a crap on the ramp?
Gimmick.
Did they shit in the ramp?
Did they? I don't know.
They did. On the stage.
I remember when the dog shit in the ring during the Kennel from Hell match.
Oh, I remember that.
Jerry Lawler Jerry Lawler was literally calling it out. What are you doing, JR?
I just remember walking into this match like we're really gonna see two dudes named Big Josh and Black Bart fucking wrestle each other.
Yeah.
I'm sure not a lot of people know who Black Bart is. What can you tell us about him, Scott?
Rick Harris, jobber, enhancement talent, and Georgia Championship for years. He becomes Black Bart while he's in Georgia Championship and forms a team with Ron Bass. I don't know if they ever called themselves anything. I don't know if they were the Outlaws or something like that, but they may have had a name, but it didn't last. But Black Bart and Ron Bass were Mid-Atlantic Tag Team Champions for a while. They had a good run, and then Bart. People forget this part. The World Class Championship Wrestling broke off from the NWA.
Yep.
And I think Rick Rude was the first world champion. I'll stand to be corrected. I think he was the America's champion, so they made him the world champion.
Yes.
But at some point, Black Bart was the world champion in World Class. So he had a great run. Granted, they weren't drawing turnaway houses, but his work was never a problem. Bart's work was really underrated.
Is there any relation to Donald and Ronald Harris, the Harris twins?
No.
Not at all?
None. Ron and Don are from Tennessee. Bart's for real from Texas.
Yeah, he's always one of those guys that I've heard about, but at the same time, I don't have there's not a lot of out there. I don't hear people talk negatively or positively about Black Bart.
Oh, he's a great guy, but you go back and watch some of those matches from 1980 until this match wasn't. He wasn't horrible in this, but it was just not a good match to put on pay-per-view. But he was fine. But up until 88, 89. Like in the Crockett Cup years, that run, every match he was in, you were like, whoa, this guy's pretty good. I didn't know Bart could wrestle. He could. He was terrific. And, he had the misfortune of not being a steroid guy. I mean, you could have given that guy a number 10 wash tub full of steroids, and he would have looked exactly the same. He just didn't have that genetic makeup. He was going to look like just a guy that was in a bar fight last night, because he probably was. But that was his look. He was a big guy. He wasn't a small fellow.
It works.
Older and been in the 70s.
What's that?
He came up in the wrong decade. He should have been older and been in wrestling in the 70s.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no. He could have worked. That look and that gimmick works in the regional territories too.
I would have.
True.
I would have. Well, hindsight being 2020, be that as it may, I would have told him to go to ECW and start taking crowbars to people's heads in the ring, and you probably have a career.
Well, by the time ECW was around, he was up there.
Yeah, he was already.
He was up there age-wise for this show, and this was 5 years before ECW.
Well, in that case, I wouldn't know where the hell to send him.
Smoky Mountain, he would have done well in Smoky Mountain. Hell, he might have worked Smoky Mountain.
He might.
Well, there was that before ECW. I think there was that Tri-State promotion. They did some of these.
Tri-State?
The Extreme
Wrestling Alliance, yeah. Joel Goodhart was the old booker on that one. And then
Heyman will never admit it, but I know they pulled some of their ideas from Tri-State.
Sure.
Oh yeah. Eddie Gilbert used to work a lot of shows for Goodhart, and then Gilbert was the first booker there, and then Paul Heyman was the understudy for Eddie Gilbert when he was the booker for ECW, and then Eddie Gilbert left, and then Paul Heyman got hired by Todd Gordon. The rest is history.
And then Shane threw the belt in the trash can.
Yes, the greatest, like, still, in my opinion, one of those moments of I'm like, it's a great moment, and I find it like cool because it's Shane. Like, it's a great moment and
It's bittersweet,
but it's like he's throwing down like the symbol of excellence for a long time in pro wrestling.
It sucks that he does it. It sucks that he does it, but if we're going to be real here, NWA was not going to be doing much of anything at this point.
I
The
agree.
fact that they were at a if ECW existed in '89, they would need NWA. But at the time when the belt's being thrown down, NWA needs ECW.
That's true. I agree with that.
Dennis Carluzzo. How do I say his name? Dennis Carluzzo.
Carluzzo.
Yeah.
He's in. I don't know how much of it is his fault or how much is not, but he is just the guy that is not. He is just not the guy to save the company, if there is any guy who even could. Because if my recollection is correct, he was originally managing a promotion out of New Jersey, and I don't remember what it was called. And then he just kind of, and then the ECW the NWA just kind of fell in his lap because NWA had largely just collapsed as a national organization at that point. Am I right?
That part's true. Was it East? It wasn't Eastern Championship, was it?
It was still technically Eastern until
was Eastern.
Roundabout. Then they changed it to Extreme.
Yeah, they changed it after they folded Eastern, and then
which, in all fairness, which is actually kind of a legal mumbo jumbo, because later on, when WWE bought the ECW library, they had to fight a legal fight with NWA because they were claiming all the tapes that still said Eastern.
I don't think it was NWA. I think it was Todd Gordon himself.
Either way,
yeah.
There might have been some legal janitorial work, making sure that the NWA or anybody else can't claim them, so they have to change themselves to Extreme Championship Wrestling. That's what I suspect. It's not just a good logo, but it's probably also that solves a legal problem too.
Win-win.
Yeah.
So we have reached the point that we have been kind of alluding to throughout the program.
All right, guys, I got to go.
Yeah, can we take like the next 5 minutes off?
Yeah, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'll catch up with you guys when we get
Tim Parker, the great Tim Parker, who I have never heard of before and never heard of again after this show. He has the dubious task of being the raw meat for the debuting Oz.
Oh, God.
Not the wizard, but the place Oz as the wrestler. But he's dressed as a wizard. But his manager is supposed to be the Grand Wizard. Comes out to the Pops and Circumstance, as you alluded to earlier, the Tin Man, Dorothy, and the Cowardly Lion, and the Scarecrow, and even a monkey were involved in this entrance. He comes out, his hair is spray painted.
Why WCW is losing money?
Who knows, right? This to me, like the production of this for a match that is pretty much 90 seconds. The entrance is longer than the match. All this, how much is the bill? I will like.
Matt, can you put that picture back up, or whoever's right?
I got it. Yeah.
Yes.
And they've got somebody holding a sparkler behind Kevin.
Yes.
All of this shit they've got going on, and
Yes.
just somebody's holding a sparkler. I mean, I was doing that when I was like 6 years old, and that's the best they could come up with.
And to think that because he was a master blaster just like a year ago before.
Wonder if this is before or after him being Super Shredder in the Turtles movie.
I think it's around the.
I think it's before because this was 91. I'll look when the movie came out, but I'm almost positive this was a little bit before that.
He's just hoping that Super Shredder thing leads him to like a better life where he doesn't have to do this. Because my God, like he has to think at this point that his career is over. Like he has to be thinking at his point that this. I
think he said as much in a couple of his interviews when he's been asked.
Hey, Brian, I wouldn't blame him. And Tim Parker was Tim Powerhouse Parker, was an enhancement guy for WCW, and kind of a name on Florida Indies. He was a short guy, and that's why they put him in there with Kevin, because Kevin's 7 foot tall. You put him in there with a guy who's in shape but only 5'10". It's gonna accentuate how big Kevin is, and that's why they did it. But Tim Parker was a good hand, was an excellent wrestler. I don't know if he's still with us. I don't know if he has passed on. It seems like he has. If he hasn't, my apologies. But back in the day, he was an excellent wrestler and a good hand to have, and the right one to put in there with Kevin. Kevin, at this point, Kevin was okay, but he did need somebody that could bump around for him. And had they given him more than 12 seconds, it would have not been as embarrassing as it was.
He's obvious. One thing I actually remember about this match is it feels like Kevin Nash has this concept in his head of the jackknife powerbomb, but he hasn't found it yet because when he actually hits the powerbomb in this match, it actually looks like a combination of the End of Days and the jackknife together, because it's kind of weird because he kind of spins around in something. He's like, he has this idea of a finish, but he hasn't quite figured out he hasn't quite come up with the pedigree, so to speak,
Right. I understand. I don't think you're wrong. I think that makes a lot of sense.
I remember Sid doing a kind of version of this too for a while.
Yeah, he was.
Oz or the powerbomb?
The kind of spin kind of powerbomb that he had.
Well, this is early days, so a lot of people are trying to figure out how the best to even do a powerbomb. Sid about killed somebody doing his, Pillman. That's a different Superbrawl, I think.
No, this is still in the Wrestle War era. They didn't, that was its own pay-per-view. Same year, though. It actually, I think, was the pay-per-view before this one.
I remember that being a really good War Games.
That was an excellent War Games. 92 was better, but 91 was definitely a damn good one. Scott, were you able to see Meltzer's reaction to this match during this?
Yes.
Were you able to get Meltzer's kind of Meltzer just sitting there and being like
at the time,
we were all trying to chant each other. What could we say to get the people around us to chant it? So if you go back and watch this with the original audio, which I don't know if it exists, with the WWF owning it, and plus we didn't have time, but this was so bad and we knew it. It was a different time, but this sucks, this is stupid, anything we could do to try to get the people with us, in that 3 count, that 3 meter beat to get the crowd with us to chant, because everybody hated it. It was like nobody wanted to chant or catcall this because they were like leaving the building. It was back in the day, there was a guy in UWF and Mid-South named Savannah Jack that Bill Watts brought in to try to reclaim the lightning in a bottle from Junkyard Dog when JYD had left for the WWF.
Right.
And Savannah Jack looked good, was an athlete, but couldn't get heat in an oven. He was just deader than 4 o'clock. And Dave actually wrote in the Observer a couple of times about legendary Savannah Jack silent heat. I mean, he was so not over. The crowd didn't boo. They just sat there like, what are we watching?
What are we watching?
Kind of like that. And then once they realized what they were seeing, the people in the building at the Bayfront, it was like unleashed. And we didn't have to help anybody chant or catcall this match. We were just, following the wave.
Poor Kevin probably heard all that.
Yeah.
It's like I remember King of the Ring '95. The look on Mabel's face when he could tell that the crowd reaction wasn't just good old fashioned heel heat. You could just tell the look on his face is like he knew.
Right.
I've got trouble here, and it's not the good kind.
That's right.
Kevin must have been like, I'm sure Kevin's hip enough to the business, and I'm sure that even then he must have had some idea that this wasn't going well.
Right. That's the old line in wrestling, and you'll hear it, that the opposite of adoration isn't hatred. They're all reactions. The opposite of adoration is apathy.
There is
that if you're not over, they don't not like you. They don't care, and they're not going to pay to see you. And they're going to get up and leave the room when you're on. There
is a different sound to a boo for someone you hate like a wrestler and someone that you never ever want to see again would actively turn away. It's a boo, but it sounds different. I can't really put into words exactly what the difference is, but do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's almost condescending. It's the same guttural utterance, but it's done in a condescending manner versus, I really can't wait to see you get your ass kicked. It's, would you please get off of my screen or out of this ring? And that's what they were telling Oz, unfortunately.
And Mabel in '95.
And Mabel a lot of times, actually.
Yeah.
And to think that around the time that Mabel was going through this, Diesel, Kevin Nash, was world champion of WWF. It's just 4 years later.
Say what you will about Kevin Nash. You can't really blame him. And you got a guy with that few moves put into that situation with a guy who's bigger than Kevin. I mean, if you're going to book a Kevin Nash title, if you're going to book a Kevin Nash title run, I would say you don't want to have all your big guys thrown up real quick, but they had Bret Hart in the end, that made sense. They had Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania, that makes sense. So what you need somewhere in the middle is you need somebody like Owen Hart. Well, think about the roster they have. They got Owen Hart. I think they got the British Bulldog already. Jeff Jarrett is at the very end of his run. These are guys who could have really worked with Kevin Nash and actually gave a match that would probably kind of get over. But instead, they put with Sid, and I love Sid to death, but
he
Sid
worked with Bulldog.
Is not great. And then Mabel, that's awful.
He worked with Bulldog in October '95, and it was one of the worst reviewed matches in the company's history.
I forgot about that.
It was the one.
Forget about that one.
It was the one where Vince actually threw his headset in disgust at the end of the show. He was that pissed off.
When you look at a wrestler like the British Bulldog, why did that suck so hard?
Bulldog is only good when he's working with somebody who can lead. He cannot lead.
That's fair.
He just can't. Well,
Bret Hart says that when they did the '92 SummerSlam, the British Bulldog told him, "I forgot what we were supposed to do."
And the best match that Bulldog got in '95 was the match he had with Bret.
I love that match.
That was, I like that match actually more than the SummerSlam match.
I gave that's my match of the year for WWE in '95.
It's not easy. It's not hard.
It's a tough year. It's only one of them.
It's such a terrible year.
I think there's only one other match worth considering, and I think that's the Shawn Michaels Razor Ramon rematch.
And that's both companies. Because it's not like WCW was out there putting out anything like that.
It was like either that or your favorite TL Hopper match.
I really liked Hogan versus Vader at Superbrawl in '95. I thought that was really good.
Actually, you're right. I just saw
Flair
that.
And Savage.
They just put that in the WCW YouTube page, and I watched Hogan and Vader, and that was actually really good.
Now, the other two matches they have aren't that good, but the first one's really there.
The first one's really good.
But
I can't begin to tell you the among smart fans and people in the Sheet world and all that, when they announced, or it was just a rumor that it was going to be Hogan Vader, people thought Vader was going to kill him. Not like
I did too.
They thought he was going to kill him, like hurt him, like put him in the hospital. because he didn't like him. And obviously Vader was a pro and did what he was supposed to do. But
I hated the way Hogan treated Vader at Bash at the Beach, their last match. He put on his metal gauntlet head thingy.
Yeah, that was bad.
And barely sold Vader and made him look like a joke.
Yep.
Well, he started it right away because they had they had a tag team match for Clash of the Champions. Vader comes out, Vader hits him with the power bomb, and Hogan no-sells it immediately. So it's like a month before the first pay-per-view, you're already no-selling the power bomb, which, by the way, has been protected for the last 4 years.
Thanks, Hogan.
And all of a sudden, a month before, Hogan just kicked out of it. It's like, oh, great. Here we go. But I agree with Scott because I was 12 years old and I was thinking, Hogan's going to die. Like, there's no way. There's no way.
If you want to see Hogan about die in the ring, you'd want to watch Hogan versus Abdullah the Butcher in Japan. Hogan paid some dues in that match. Butcher stabbed him repeatedly in the head with a spike. It was brutal. Hogan bled everywhere. And I think it's the most brutal match that Hogan has ever wrestled that I've at least come across. That was the one where something about kill Hogan. It looked like. Yeah,
and it's legendary that when Hogan was in Japan, he was a different wrestler, and he was good. It was actually not just he's good for Hogan. He was really good.
Hogan was doing an Inseguri in some of those matches.
Yep. And he had the STF too. He did a cross arm breaker. Like he actually showed he's got some wrestling ability over in Japan. So we go from Oz to a bit of a palate cleanser, but they only give it 6 fucking minutes. A matchup between Barry Windham and Brian Pillman in a tape fist match. They give it 6 minutes on a pay-per-view that has Big Josh, El Gigante, and Dan Spivey coming in for a squash match. You got Big Josh on the card, and they give them 6 minutes. Brian Pillman and Barry Windham.
What's with Wyndham's haircut there? Good God.
I don't know.
It's not the worst in 1991.
It looks like Doc Ock, but blonde hair.
Wow.
That's good.
I didn't understand it because, and I'm sure we'll get to it, but Flair's got Conan O'Brien haircut, and Wyndham, always had long blonde hair. Why on earth are they giving him this page boy look? I don't get it. I didn't get it then. I don't get it now.
Again,
it wasn't Wyndham's idea. I can promise you that.
Yeah, probably not. He doesn't look too happy in that photo.
Fucking Herd. That's all I got to keep repeating myself. Fucking Herd. Because literally, it's like you have 2 guys that both have great hair. They both have great long hair. And all of a sudden, it's just like, hey, guess what? You got to cut your hair. Like, we're going to change the gimmick up a little bit. For what?
This must be... Jim Herd must have had the worst hairdresser in wrestling history working for him personally.
Well,
Brian Pillman looks like himself. Yeah. But Barry Windham looks like an Alpharetta housewife.
He does.
Why?
Yeah, I think this is right around the time they're just doing that light heavyweight thing, I think.
Were they using the pizza cutters from Pizza Hut for the Jim Herd rod to do the haircutting? Like, that's the only thing I could think of.
When was it that WCW did a show? I don't know if it was a Clash or a pay-per-view or whatever in Greensboro, and I don't know if I guess it was the Front Row Section D fans, Hitchcock and Bruce Mitchell and all those guys had the sign that said, "We have heard enough." That's spelled Herd, Herd.
I remember that sign.
And oh man, they got heat for that. Fans getting heat.
I forgot when that happened.
That was one of the great signs of all time.
Oh yeah, it's just
I remember being disappointed by this match too, because I'm pretty sure that Brian versus Barry Windham for 20 minutes would be a match to remember.
The stuff they did at the in War Games, because those two started the War Games match and War Games 91, with that 5 minutes was fucking incredible. And they only gave these guys 6 minutes on a show where they have El Gigante, Big Josh, and Dan Spivey and
Oz
on the same show, but they give these two 6 minutes. That should be a war crime, in my opinion.
Well, Jim Hurt and Flair weren't getting along, and Wyndham and Flair were tight. I'm willing to bet that Jim Hurt wasn't wanting to give too much to Flair's boys on this show at the time. I bet
probably not.
There's a lot to be said for that. That's
you think
true.
I'm probably right on that guess?
Yep. Jim is petty as fuck, is from everything I've heard.
It's like you can't punish Shawn Michaels; he's the champion. So let's fuck Triple H. The same logic.
Well, he did the same thing at Great American Bash because he didn't give the title to Barry Windham; he gave it to Luger. So it's just like, well, you're not giving it, you're not getting it because Flair. Yeah, but I had nothing to do with it. Doesn't matter.
You're his friend.
Exactly.
Yep.
Doesn't matter.
Flair don't have too many friends in the company right now. At least the really close ones, him and Arn Anderson. At this particular point, he's kind of a little friend shy.
He's in an island to himself because, number one, he's going through a bit of a transition period, and the locker room is too, because, they smell blood in the water. They think, oh, he's been the stalwart for 10 years. Like he's been, at this point, 1991, Flair's been NWA champion for the majority of the last decade. And these guys smell blood in the water and think to themselves, oh, it's my time. Scott Steiner wants to be world champion. There's talk of Scott Steiner wanting to be world champion. Sting, of course, wants to be on that have that upper echelon spot again.
On that roster,
Luger, same thing.
On that roster, the only ones I would go with if I don't have Flair would be Wyndham or Sting.
Exactly. And they decide to go with Luger after that.
I would have liked Luger a year before when he was faster. I don't know. When he got together with Harley Race, it's like Harley Race told him to slow down, and I love Harley Race to death, and I never say a disrespectful word about the man. But if that's what he did, I'll politely say I wish he hadn't.
I'll go almost as far as you did, David, but I'll say this: Harley Race was a atrocious manager.
Yeah. Okay.
When he was managing Mr. Hughes and Luger and whoever and Yoshi Kwan and the Super Invader and all that.
He had the Invaders for a bit. I forgot.
He did well with Vader though. The Vader pairing really worked.
It's probably more of a case of good chemistry than, because you can be a bad manager and have good chemistry with someone, and you can kind of and it becomes less noticeable.
That's true.
Was that the one where they built to like where some midget blew up Sting's boat?
Oh, that was Beach Blast 93.
Beach Blast.
Yeah, it was Beach Blast 93.
Because I think Harley was managing Vader and Colonel Parker was managing Sid.
And Sid did it
like in suits at the beach.
Sid was in flip flops, and they were in. Okay, so Sting and Davey Boy Smith were in like regular like beach gear,
beach clothes. Yeah.
Okay, Vader and Sid show up in their wrestling gear, except Vader's in wrestling boots and the whole deal. Where Sid is in tights and knee pads, but he's wearing sandals.
Yeah. Oh my God!
What we said? I'm supposed to be at a beach.
And they blow up a boat. Like, well, they blow up a boat.
Well, they had some midget swim up under the boat.
Yes.
And attach the bomb to the boat.
Yes.
Oh. And I apologize for using midget, but
no, it's
fine. It's just the idea of whatever the lollipop gig, defusing bombs under a boat is just. It's nuking the fridge.
But also too, like this is around the time that they did that movie for the White Castle of Fear. They did that whole angle of You want more trauma? Let me give you some more trauma, Scott. Do you remember Lost in Cleveland with Mick Foley?
Yep.
Oh,
I do, where he had
sailor
cut his hair and shaved. Didn't even look like himself. Looked like somebody's trying to do a cactus cosplay. Oh. That's not up there with like searching for Stan Hansen.
I love early WCW, but boy, you had to go through. Boy, you really had to go through it sometimes with some of their dumb ideas.
Oh, it was. I mean, we were there. We were making these drives to watch the TVs and going to center stage every Tuesday night and standing out in the 13-degree weather for 2 hours.
I tell you, the best when I was early WCW. The best there is Rick Rude, Steve Austin, Cactus Jack, Vader, and anytime Sting wrestles any one of those people that I just mentioned, that's like the stuff that you gotta remember.
Yeah, like the Dangerous Alliance. When those guys were together, they lasted 6 months, but that was perfect.
Well, the heavenly. Don't forget about the Hollywood Blondes of Steve
Hollywood
Austin.
Blondes.
Hollywood Blondes was a great short-lived tag team.
And they can't. That was the thing. They had all these tag teams that were perfect, and then they just blew it. Like within 6 months, they were just like, "Oh, we're gonna blow it up." Why? This is actually working.
Yeah, because Hogan had to bring in all his people. I mean, I finally know for a fact that that's true because Eric Bischoff said in a recent podcast that he said Hulk Hogan didn't make me hire these people, but it certainly helped me get Hogan on that I hired his friends.
Right.
He explained it
Eric
like that.
He is so smart, Eric.
And then he also would go on to say that his favorite person he ever fired was the Honky Tonk Man.
There's probably a laundry list of people that say the same thing.
What, firing the Honky Tonk Man?
Yeah, that's the best thing I ever did in wrestling was firing Honky Tonk. And there's like 10 people on that list.
Have you had any experiences with hockey?
With Honky Tonk, no. Just heard about everything. He had come and gone before I got to WCW.
I tell you what, John Cena did not deserve to be drugged for 5 moves of doom when the Honky Tonk Man has 1.5 move and somehow became a 400-day plus Intercontinental Champion. 1.5 move, I'm telling you. Shake, rattle, and roll, a punch, and run away.
And don't forget about the guitar. Don't forget about
the guitar shot. Yeah.
And Jeff Jarrett did those better.
Yeah, but Honky Tonk drew more money with the guitar shots. Yeah!
People say didn't drew a dime, but people came and watched TNA in the early days. Not a lot of people, but enough that there was more than a dime.
One of my favorite quotes in the history of the industry, it still lives rent-free in my head, is still that Mike Graham quote. He smashed 6,000 guitars, never drew a dime.
Yeah. Was he talking about Honky or Jeff?
Jeff Jarrett.
Jeff Jarrett.
Boy.
I think that's a little mean. I think Jarrett actually did a little bit. I think Jarrett did. He wasn't a Hulk Hogan out there drawing, or even a Shawn Michaels, but he did
11 cents. He did 11 cents.
Yeah,
Mike Graham wasn't exactly
anymore
in the box office either. I mean, he had several opportunities, and he couldn't put him in the seats.
Well, I don't want to speak. I don't want to speak bad of the Dead, but I think he was I think backstage. I think backstage wise, he was very. I think he was probably pretty influential. He's probably really good as an agent. I think his dad is one of the most influential people in the history of the industry.
Oh, absolutely. I agree.
I think he lived off that a little bit too much, maybe a little bit, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, I felt like it was an unfair kind of criticism to make just because of the fact it's like he's drawn more than a dime. Come on, Mike. You got to admit that.
Sure.
Oh, I think the next match is the Thunder Cage, Doom's blow-off match. Ron Simmons is...
No, you missed one, actually.
Butchery.
Zil Hagante and Sid Vicious.
He didn't.
Oh, right. I wanted to miss that. That's
Yeah.
fair. Okay, yeah.
The stretcher match that wasn't a stretcher match.
I don't like spelling El Gigante, so I wrote it down on my notes as Giant Gonzalez.
I did the same thing when I took notes too. So
or from reading these sheets this afternoon. Holy shit, Sid's here. Holy shit, he showed up. All right.
I know he was never great, but I've always liked Sid. Shawn Michaels, one of those only times in his life that he talked about wrestling and he wasn't under WWE contract. He in 2000, when he was just coming down from all the stuff that he was probably doing, he was talking in an interview with like RF Video, and he said he liked working with Sid, and it's like, and the RF Mark was like, Marcus Judah, like, why? And then Shawn Michaels says, because he told me that I'm not very good. I'll trust you. You just do whatever you. He says, I'm not very good. Just tell me what you want me to do. And Shawn Michaels said he loved that.
Sure.
That's all Shawn wouldn't care.
Yeah.
And that's why Shawn didn't have a problem putting the belt on him in fucking 96, but he wouldn't put over Vader because he knew Vader could.
Well, neither would Brett. That's what they don't talk about. Brett didn't want to do it either. Neither one of them wanted to do business with Vader.
Yeah, because they knew Vader. Well, the problem is by the time Vader went to WWF in 96, his prime was already over. And he put on a lot more weight than he was carrying when he was in his prime in WCW.
Richard said in his contract that he signed in late 95, there was a clause that said he had to be under a certain weight, and therefore he violated the contract many times, and they sent him to fat camp at least more than once with Yokozuna, and that was the reason why. That was one of the reasons why his pushes kept dying, because he kept being in violation of his contract.
And didn't Yoko went to fat camp,
snuck out of fat
camp, gained weight?
He gained weight, and he snuck out with Yokozuna and cleared out some restaurants, and they actually gained weight at fat camp. That's what Pritchard said.
I believe it.
Yeah, they went to Duke. They went to the Duke Weight Loss Center, and they gained weight. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, fat camp, like, on Krusty the Clown fat camp, it was a real medically supervised, we've got to get weight off of you, and they still screwed it up.
Hey!
Yeah, I just have the Camp Krusty song stuck in my head now, thanks.
Hey!
Oh, sweet, nourishing gruel.
Ain't that great, kids?
Nice hat.
When I try to think about who is the worst wrestler to have ever been on a national promotion and to be anything, and in screen all the Hollywood stars, it really is hard not to think of the Giant Gonzalez. Because Zeus, you want to say Zeus is bad, but Zeus is also an actor they roped in to do a couple matches.
Right.
So it's like, and he was in over his head.
Zeus drew money too.
Yeah,
that's true.
Somehow, well, it's tiny Lister, but Giant Gonzalez wasn't some actor they roped in to do a few matches. He was a legitimate wrestler, and therefore he might very well be the worst. Because Khali can do more than Gonzalez.
So Scott, correct me if I'm wrong. I might be incorrect, but I believe this is when Turner owned the Atlanta Hawks.
Correct.
So they signed.
The Braves too, right?
Yes, this is when they owned the Braves too. But so they signed El Gigante to be a member of the Atlanta Hawks.
That is correct.
And it didn't work out
for that too.
So they said, well, let's just convert him into a wrestler. And that didn't work.
They probably thought they had Andre the Giant on their hands here, and then they discovered quite quickly they did not have Andre.
Well, they did a little bit. Hell, how tall was Gonzalez? Like 7'6".
Yeah.
I mean, he
was like 7'7", 7'8". It was
insanely big man.
Andre the Giant was actually a good wrestler, especially in the 70s when he could still move.
Right. But
if you didn't watch Andre the Giant in the 70s, you don't know what you've missed.
No, Andre, even Andre in like 1988 still could work. 87, he was still, it was a little hard, but 88, he still had a little fire in him.
Forget being a fan for a minute. As a human being, I am absolutely horrified at the memory of watching the match of Harley Race versus Andre the Giant and watching Andre the Giant pretzel that man Harley Race with all the various submissions. That looked utterly terrifying to watch. Legitimately, like this neck went places I don't think it should go.
Or the chop that he gave Harley at one point, and Harley looked like he took a buckshot to the chest.
It probably felt like a buckshot.
Oh, it's just you just see him chop. It's just like
Andre laid it in, by God.
Oh. Well, apparently. Sorry, Scott. Go ahead.
No. But just back to Gigante. He has since passed away. Rest in peace. But you guys have heard Taker talk about Gigante.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
And if you can get Mark Calloway to say something negative about somebody, you've done something. Because he's one of the nice guys.
Yes.
The only other guy I've really heard
you've really reached nirvana.
The only other guy I've really heard him get really negative about as a worker that he's personally worked with was Heidenreich. And he said Heidenreich was so bad he almost ended my career.
True. Yeah.
Because he probably would have been like, oh God, they really put him with some bad ones. It was like even in the 2000s, they put him with some ones of just like, oh God, I'm a legend. I don't need to be doing this.
Right.
Like, why am I working with this dude? Kozlov? Really? You want me to lose to Kozlov clean? Really?
Johnny Laurinaitis was in there, one of the dudes with attitudes, and he was helping pick these guys and sign them up because these people were the next Hulk Hogan's or whatever.
Yeah.
God.
He signed Kelly Kelly, though. Points to him.
And wasn't this this was Sid's last match, right?
In WCW before he went to WWF.
He went to the WWF.
I guess the backstory is that they would not grant him an early release if he didn't do this show. Because his contract was up in September.
And they gave him the worst guy possible.
Yes. So they pretty much, it was like, they made it so difficult for him and thinking, okay, that's why One Man Gang actually did come out at the end of it, because One Man Gang was the backup because they were afraid Sid wasn't going to show. And Sid showed. Sid did the job I guess he did the job. I don't think it was willingly, considering the fact of it was like he no-sold the shit out of anything that just happened and just rolled out of the ring. It was just like, see you later.
Didn't even get on the stretcher.
Like it, and then they had Sullivan turn face and turn on Gigante at the end of it. Like, this thing is just
that whole thing just fell apart.
But again, they couldn't give Barry Windham and Brian Pillman any longer. They had to give this.
Right.
Yeah. At the time, I'm assuming Kevin Sullivan probably isn't booking anything.
No,
it's completely dusty at this point.
I don't think he books. I don't think Sullivan starts seriously booking until the Bischoff years. I could be wrong, but that's my recollection.
Yeah, I would say that's you're probably right on that. It's probably you're dead on. Like, I think that was really well. Actually, no. You're right.
I heard you did a little understudy with Jim Cornette a bit in the NWA to WCW transition period.
Yes,
I've read that, but I don't know if it's true because you can't trust everything you read on the internet.
Kevin was on one, if there was more than one of the committees, when there was Flair and Cornette and Jim Ross and Pedicino and Kevin and I think Hurd.
Barnett, I think, may have been still a consultant.
Who's that?
Barnett.
Yep.
Barnett,
yep.
Jim Barnett.
And they would fly them all in to Atlanta and rent a meeting room at the Omni Hotel, which is in the same building where WCW was at the time, and meet for like 2 hours. They would have to fly in, wherever the hell everybody lives, fly in, meet for 2 hours, get nothing accomplished, and then go catch a plane and fly home.
I'm sure that.
I'm sure Flair as a booker then too was just, and I'm not knocking him for this, but I'm sure he was just a booker, almost like worried about what he was doing in his angle. Like so he was just
just signing off on the other shit.
Yeah, exactly. And he was just like, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
He was probably working on his stuff, and he was probably paying special attention to Sting's stuff because he knew he wanted to work with Sting. Well, like, if it's a tag team match, he'd probably just listen to what Jim Cornette said, and he said, that sounds good, go ahead. If the ding dongs come up, he probably just buried his head in the sand, whatever.
And he was making sure that Arn and Barry were protected.
Yeah.
When he was booking, but that was really about it. You're right. He was booking himself and booking and trying to protect Arn and Barry.
And probably looking after Sting, and so he can
make sure he's got Sting for his own reasons, right?
Yeah, which I think is fair, because I think the point that Flair became Booker, it was like he'd earned the right to be Booker and was your top star.
To be fair to Flair, that particular era is
we're always fair to Flair on this program.
That's a Bobby Heenan line.
WCW was actually pretty solid as far as shows go, except for Starrcade, because that weird tournament they did in Starrcade '89 was just not fun. But the rest of that year was pretty freaking good. I thought. I
thought '89 was one of my favorite years ever.
Probably the most solid. It's probably the most solid year WCW ever had. It'd be between that and '97, but '97 has a couple stinkers, so I would go with '89.
It's the only year I could think of where they had back-to-back like monumental all-time classic feuds, because it's like here you have Flair and Steamboat, which is an instant like scientific classic trilogy, like just a masterpiece of masterpiece. Yeah. And then literally right after, Terry Funk turns on Flair, and then that sets up the Great American Bash match in Baltimore, which then leads to New York Knockout, and then
which is in WWF territory. They were brazen doing that.
They were in Troy, New York for that show, and the fans were going absolutely apeshit for that.
Yeah, that was brazen, and they went to New York in '89, and they drew.
Yeah.
I think we talked about this, but I was there. I was in Nashville for that Wrestle War with Flair Steamboat, where you had it was Pat O'Connor, Luthez, and Terry Funk were the judges at ringside. Was it Pat O'Connor? It was Luthez and Terry Funk.
Yeah, it was Pat O'Connor.
And they were the judges at ringside. I'm like second row. I'm like all over that footage of when Funk attacks Flair and pile drives him through the table. I'm like right over Terry's shoulder watching what's going on. It's awesome. That was such a fantastic show.
Is that do you think that that's the best match of the trilogy?
Easily.
Yeah,
to me, easily it was.
Okay. Just because I've always thought the first one was probably the second one too is great.
Clash of the Champions match is my favorite of the three.
Was it Clash the one in New Orleans?
Yeah,
yes, that was the one in New Orleans, the Superdome.
And they were head over heels having JYD because they were had the Louisiana jazz bands and everything.
Right. Oh. Yeah. No, it was JYD's return, and
what I loved about the Nashville match was that they turned Flair babyface during the match, and it was so subtle that you couldn't tell it happened. So that when Terry turned on Rick, it wasn't like these are two heels fighting. It's like, oh my God, Flair just turned babyface in this nasty Terry fucking. It was so perfectly booked, and with those three guys, how could it not be perfectly executed? But it was just jaw dropping how good it was.
Yeah. But again, this is how great Superbrawl 1 is right here. This is how great Superbrawl 1 is. This is how great Superbrawl 1 is. We keep talking about everything else at WCW.
Everything else, yes. Yeah. But we're finally up to something we can talk about. Thank God.
We're gonna go up to 20 minutes on El Gigante. Come on, give us a break.
I
But
know.
but this is this
It
is
was an enjoyable tag team.
they really were. They were a great team, and also probably two of the most natural badasses that you could think of, other than like the Road Warriors in that locker room, because it's like Ron Simmons and Butch Reed, I would think could probably, like the original APA, in my opinion, two guys that could probably walk into any bar and literally own it by the snap of their fingers, because two guys I would not want to fuck with at all. It's like, because you got Butch Reed, who's already a crazy person, also has the linebacker mentality that Jim Ross always used to talk about. And the same thing too with Ron Simmons, decorated All-American at Florida State. So, I mean, this is, and these two breaking up, it is rather kind of an odd move, because they both have like tremendous credentials, but also too, you could definitely start to see Ron Simmons. They think they got something with him as a single star.
I'd read that the reason why they were breaking up was that Butch Reed was getting ready to draw down his career. That he was pretty close to done. That's why they were going to go ahead and break him up. I don't know if it's true, but that's what I've read.
Plus, Dusty, I think, saw Ron which everybody saw at that point, that Ron was going to be a star, and that he
retired his jersey.
So they did. They did.
There's a lot of background noise from somewhere.
Might be you.
Do you guys remember when they wore hoods when they were Doom?
Yes.
Yes.
That may have been the dumbest idea of all time.
Thank God they demasked them.
And it didn't take long. They didn't have them a couple of months, not long, because everybody knew who they were.
I think Nancy
got these two studs that everybody knows and are over like crazy.
Yeah, woman was their manager for a time. Yeah, I didn't understand that at all. Like, because Butch Reed at that point was already known for Mid-South UWF. So people knew who he was. And then Ron Simmons, too. It's like, he's going to get known because people in that area, they've watched college football. You talk about FSU, there you go, you're good. So,
yeah, that's I didn't get that, but and I agree that you had two guys that were going in, I won't say opposite directions, but one was certainly on an upward trajectory, and Reed, although he hadn't lost a step, he looked great, worked great, but he was, and if he had decided he was going to start slowing down and working his way out of the business or to retirement, that's fine. He had earned that. He didn't stick around too long. He didn't stick around too long.
There isn't too much out of him in any national promotion after this.
No,
that was it.
He's not popping up in the Attitude Era in Wrestling Austin or anything. He's pretty much done. Yeah, you don't even see him in ECW.
This also felt like a regular cage match, not a Thunderdome cage match, because it
didn't
like curved Thunderdome, and it was one that it didn't go around the ringside area; it fit around the ring perfectly. Okay, so anybody else got anything to add on the cage match?
Not really, except that I think that at this point is pretty much Ron Simmons' singles push all the way to when he'll become the champion about 16, 18 months later.
Yes, he wins it in August of '92, so we're looking about 15 months from this time. But he still is the number one contender going into Halloween Havoc, which is about 5 months from now, where he faces the champion Lex Luger, which we've covered on this program before. So well, actually we did cover it, I think, the last time. We did cover Halloween Havoc 91. So
yes. The one where Butcher got electrocuted.
Yes, the famous
Yeah, that's right. Chattanooga.
He knows sold death.
He knows sold death. How is that even possible?
I don't know.
But he knows sold death. So now we have finally reached the part of the program where we're actually getting the next 3 in a row are solid matches. Probably
Thank God.
Finally 3 matches on the card we could look at. You're just like, yeah, this could save the show. Like, where everybody, I think, at ringside, including Meltzer, is probably just like, yes, finally the reason I'm here. The reason I've traveled all the way to goddamn Florida. And not even Tampa, it's St. Pete. So it is the Steiner brothers versus Sting and Lex Luger. Before we get this matchup, we get a really kind of highlight package with some of the weirdest music I could think of. I felt like I was watching like a cutscene from a SNES video game.
Yeah.
Just the music from this.
I needed more star wipes. I needed more star wipes in this. I needed more transitions. It was very late 80s, early 90s vibe. Just should have leaned into it hard, you know.
The highlights of both teams' career. Now all of a sudden you got Sting and Luger against the Steiner brothers in one of, maybe actually it was the match of the year for 1991 by Pro Wrestling Illustrated. Acho got, I think, the Observer Wrestling of the Observer match of the year. I think Dave gave it at least 5 stars, maybe 4.5 or something of that nature. But this was the match of 1991. Started off kind of slow, and then it turned into, Jesus Christ, this is New Japan hard style. How did it go from this? How did it go from, all right, the usual fare into, oh boy, they're just throwing like everybody now has got 3 finishers stored up and are just hitting every single one of them.
Yeah. And one of the things about this match that, as I'm looking at this graphic up there now and watching it again earlier, I'm still amazed, and this sounds horrible, that Lex Luger's in this match. I mean, this is match of the year, and Lex Luger's in it.
I know.
You know, was he like, you know, Dynamite Kid and just hurt?
He was
great
in this. He looked great in this. He looked
Absolutely
really ready in this. And
I'm looking at the results for 91 to see if there's any other WCW match I'd even consider. Definitely not Starrcade to Battle Bowl. Fuck that. I think the only competition for great matches this year would be Austin and Dustin Rhodes at Halloween Havoc, and maybe Bobby Eaton and Terry Taylor. It's a very thin year. 91 is a very thin year in WCW as far as great matches go.
Well, I think too the same thing could be said for WWF, where the only one you could consider
Savage and Warrior. That'd be the one I would.
Savage and Warrior, and then also you have Mr. Perfect and Bret Hart at SummerSlam '91.
Yeah,
I mean there are matches like so those, but after that it's kind of like it's few and far between.
It's pretty thin for them too.
Yeah, but at least with this show, this is like. Even if Fujinami and Flair do not meet people's expectations, this at least people can sit there and be like, oh my God, this is awesome. Like, this is one of the best things I've ever seen.
I would probably, if I was to pick for American wrestling in general, I would probably go with Ultimate Warrior and Savage as your match of the year. But WCW, the Luger, Sting, Steiner's match is probably the best you're going to get in anyone.
I think,
but again, listen, you're making the argument that if this wasn't match of the year, the one that should have been had the Ultimate Warrior in it.
I know.
Well, Randy Savage is there to lead the way.
That's how great Randy Savage is, and that's how great Rick and Scott were, and how awesome Sting was to be there. And then Luger Luger was not bad in this match. He was terrific.
No, he was great.
That's just like the perfect storm.
He's still got that explosive power thing going.
Yeah.
That I was talking about earlier, where he's not quick, he's sudden. He's got that going still. And that's when Luger matches are good, when he does that.
Mm-hmm. This one sure was.
That clothesline out of the corner with Luger is something to behold. Like when you do a move on him in the corner and then he just bolts out of it with that clothesline.
Yes.
It's something to behold.
Well, they probably did it like a grand total of one time in WWF for some reason.
Yeah, the only time I actually ever saw him do it was that time that he knocked out Bret Hart at a press conference. That's the only time I saw him do it. Is when he knocked Bret Hart out of a press conference. But he should have done it at WWE more because it would have looked a lot better too, especially with that damn steel plate he had in his forearm.
Well, he did it to Mr. Perfect at WrestleMania.
Yes.
No, that's about it.
But I think that was the only time I saw him do it after that.
That's the only good, in my opinion, the Mr. Perfect versus Luger match at WrestleMania is the only good Luger WWF match.
I would agree. Because the matches against Yoko, not good. But this match is excellent. I think it still holds up.
I agree.
The Steiners are way ahead of their time. The fact that they're doing all this stuff in 1991 when no other, because you look at the Steiners now and the way that they work, the Road Warriors, their stuff doesn't age that well. They could not, you can't have a Road Warriors match against the Young Bucks, right? But the Steiners,
that would be funny to see.
It would be funny to see. But the Steiners could work with the Young Bucks and make it look impeccably unbelievable. The Steiners, I feel like could work with any tag team in the history of the industry. That's how.
I'll never understand why Bill Watts, when he took over creative in WCW, wanted to drive them out of the promotion and go to that slow, methodical 70s tag style. 70s.
Probably because he didn't want to pay them. Because they were probably making.
Well, it wasn't just that, but if some of the worst tag team matches I've ever seen in a modern in a national wrestling promotion is under the Bill Watts umbrella.
Well,
the Rick.
Go ahead, sir.
They had Rick Rude versus Steamboat. That was good, but it was. Ugh.
I agree, and that's the reason why, in my opinion, is that for everybody that wanted Bill Watts to come in and book, manage, run, preside over WCW, they were thinking that somebody that could do what Bill Watts did in Mid-South and UWF, if they could transfer that to WCW with that talent pool and those resources, how could it miss? But what he didn't do was evolve. He still came into WCW in when was it? Late 91? Middle 91?
92.
After they finally fired Herb.
And he was still booking, managing, running like it was 1985.
I got a question.
And that just wasn't going to work.
I got a question for you, Scott. You had enough. You had your ear to the ground with the business during the Bill Watts era of WCW. Why in the good goddamn fuck did that man not pay the motherfucking light bill? The fucking man didn't barely see anybody.
You mean in the crowd
here though too?
Yeah, like the whole arena would be dark. You could barely see the wrestlers half the time. The crowd was blacked out. As soon as Eric Bischoff took over, the first thing he did is pay the motherfucking light bill.
I mean, you kind of see it here too.
There's a two-prong answer to that. One is that's how wrestling used to look in the 70s. Was the ring was lit and every other light in the building was out.
That's because those people had $5 to run a show.
No, I get granted, but that's just what he remembers. And also, and this is the bad reason, is there was nobody to light. You're in the Omni and there's 900 people in there in an 18,000 seat building. What are you gonna light up? Empty seats?
That's fair.
I just want to forget the whole thing and go home.
You don't want to show the empty arena matches.
Just buy tarps. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, WCW did an empty arena tour in 1992, and they just didn't bill it as such. Every match was an empty arena match.
That's a pretty fair answer.
I still remember when they came and they played Worcester, because I'm in the Worcester area of Massachusetts, and WCW was in for a house show for Worcester in 1992, and I remember I'm like, how is that even possible? Like, who's going to go to that? 6 people? Like, because I felt like I was the only one. I felt like I was the only one that understood WCW at that point. I didn't even go to the show, but like I was just like, because again, like my parents knew WWF, but they didn't understand WCW at that point.
When was this? What month?
92. I think it was like February or like March of 92.
It's a cliche in the business that wrestling always runs the north of the United States in cold months, because they think, like in the 70s and early 80s, everybody's freezing and they don't want to get out of their house. They can't go to the park. They can't go to the lake. They can't go to the river. They can't go to the amusement park. They can't anything outside. They just want to get in their car and go somewhere. So we might as well go to wrestling.
Yeah,
that might have been the case in 1976, but that wasn't the case after 1976. So they still. And when we were doing Nitro, we would still, you go back and look at those cities and the schedule that we kept from December through at least the end of February. We were running Buffalo and Pittsburgh and Detroit and Minnie and, in the middle of the winter. And it was because of that. Well, people don't want to get out of their house. They can't do anything. They just want to get in their car, bundle up, and go somewhere inside. So it might as well be us. And that just doesn't work.
Historically,
it didn't work then. It doesn't work now.
Historically, December to February is typically low draw months for wrestling, I've noticed. In WWF, they pick it up because of the Royal Rumble, but before they get to the Rumble and then Mania, there is some definite valleys throughout their history. Even in the Attitude Era, they have smaller crowds sometimes. Slightly smaller. Because it's the Attitude Era. It's practically selling out.
I don't understand that logic either. Because you go back to like 1991 when WCW played the Meadowlands for that famous January show when Flair beat Sting. That was in the midst of a snowstorm when they had like 1,700 people show up to watch Sting lose the title to Flair. And
the house show?
It was a house show. It was at the Meadowlands because that was in the midst of New Jersey with their law about you couldn't show. You had to pay a tax if you were showing, if you were broadcasting something on television or something. You had to pay some sort of tax at that point. So that's why they did the house show.
I can't believe no wrestling promotions ever decided to go to Anchorage, Alaska in December. Why? Since we're going to do this cold month thing.
Didn't the WWF do that?
Probably.
They tried.
I swear to God they did. I mean, it was years and years and years and years ago.
Metallica ran a show in Antarctica just to prove you could
I remember that too. That's a little...
Everyone who bought a ticket, they got a free plane ride from Metallica to Antarctica. It's actually kind of neat.
I think because they did do Anchorage because they're the famous Bret Hart pictures of Bret Hart in like those acid wash jeans and like he's in like the denim jacket. He's got like the denim shirt on with the glasses and it's like the mountain background. I think that was in Anchorage. That's the famous portrait that most Canadians want to be put on currency. So we go from probably the best match of the year to another match of also that you can't go wrong with considering the participants. Bobby Eaton, Arn Anderson for the TV title. You can never go wrong with these two. And these two, again, put on an absolute classic.
I'm pretty sure that Arn Anderson had a beard when he was 5, and has always looked like he's 39 and 42.
It's like he just came out instantly, and he was able to do the spine buster at 7. Like,
He was 7 months. He was 7 months old. He looked like he was 42. He had a full beard.
And he had that male pattern baldness, when he was still in diapers.
Yeah.
A beard.
just spiking kids with DDTs at 12. Yeah. Just like
he's ever been young.
Yeah. I worked with a guy in the real job that grew up with Arn in Rome, and said that he, a nice guy, a good athlete, but that you wouldn't know it from looking at him, but was like a beast in the weight room.
I believe it.
Like would throw around big weight.
I mean, Arn Anderson throws around some big fucking men, or big ass men in wrestling. I don't think you can do that without being pretty decent at lifting.
I think he hit
That was like his reputation when they were in high school playing ball. That it wasn't like you didn't mess with him because he was a tough guy and he'd beat you up. It was just he could throw you off of him and throw you across the parking lot.
He probably got that. I don't know too much about his childhood, but I bet he got some of that farmer strength in him, because you see some of them farm boys, they can do. Probably. They don't look like Hulk Hogan, but they can throw like Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, I don't know if he grew up on a farm, but I know what you're talking about, and you're probably right.
Yeah.
I mean, just an absolute and Arn has always been a guy that I've always been gravitated to anyways, because he was in the Horsemen. And
has there ever been a match of his that's longer than 5 minutes that you didn't like? I can't think of one that I hated.
Everything's been awesome.
Yeah.
I still remember when he beat Hulk Hogan on Nitro. I was like marking the fuck out. I was like, yeah! Yep. I mean, Hogan had to lose with like getting hit with like a shoe or something in the eye, but it was just the fact that Arn Anderson beat Hulk Hogan. I'm like, yes! Like little stuff like that, because it's just like Arn is just somebody I've always rooted for.
Same.
God, I almost was bawling my eyes out during that freaking retirement speech, because it was like it was just, you're seeing Flair in the background, just like all on the verge of tears, and then you're seeing him cut like this unbelievable promo. I didn't hate, though, the NWO angle as much as people thought it would, because number one, I understood the concept of parody, which I think most people should have kind of realized then. And I understand that there are some things of like, well, there's some things that you just shouldn't do to some people, but it's like, yeah, but
it's wrestling.
They're supposed to get heat.
You want to know where the line is?
That's exactly right.
You want to know where the line is for wrestling and the shit you shouldn't do? You shouldn't dress up as Kane and have sex with a dead girl. That's the line.
That's probably the line.
Yeah.
Or do a terrorist angle the day of a bombing. It's another one.
I actually feel bad for Hassan, because I thought he had potential. Never saw enough to know if he was good, but I thought he had potential as an actual just legitimate wrestler. But
he rubbed too many people the wrong way too. That was he didn't do himself any favors on that end.
Bobby Eaton is easily another one of my favorite wrestlers, and I'm saying that first to preface this. When you look at the man, I love how he has that wrestling gimmick of picking a guy that you would not call beautiful and then saying, "Beautiful Bobby Eaton." But damn, he's another guy. I've never seen a Bobby Eaton match that wasn't good. Have you, Scott?
No, I have not.
No. Did you ever?
And on a similar topic, I don't know that anyone outside of the business would ever consider Dennis Condrey a lover boy.
No.
Or whatever that's like.
That's why Cornette was so good as a manager.
You lean into that shit.
He made you believe it.
Yeah. Like I could think right now. I mean, outside of the people like us who just know wrestling, a lot of people may not know Bobby Eaton, but I got to tell you, if you had Bobby Eaton and Shawn Michaels in a 25-minute match, that would be fucking amazing.
I would pay to see that several nights in a row.
Yeah. Or him and Bret Hart, anything like that, it would be incredible.
That's still one of my favorite Bret. I think Cornette said this to Cornette. Owen told Cornette this because they were talking about tag teams and that type of stuff. Owen was talking to Bret, and Owen was saying, the Midnight Express, you got to check these guys out on tape. These guys are the best tag team in the world. And Bret looked at Owen and was just like, yeah, but, well, me and Jim are, like, on the Hart Foundation. And Owen looked at him and says, no, you're not. Midnight Express are. Owen just blatantly looked at him and said, you're not. It's the Midnight Express. Which, and I guess it popped that, but knowing Owen, he could have been rimming Bret, but I think also Owen understood. No,
rimming?
Sure.
Bret,
ribbing. Okay.
Ribbing.
Rimming. God.
Of course, he was ribbing Bret. I think probably kind of, but also he probably understood. Yeah, no.
Sure.
Yeah, if I was to go through the list of the best wrestling tag teams in the late 80s, like WWF may have a lot of great tag teams going, but I feel like I'd end up going with the Rock and Rolls, the Midnight Express, and maybe the Freebirds before I would go with most of the teams in WWF.
And the Road Warriors.
The Bulldogs. That'd be my five right there.
I'd have the Fantastics somewhere in there.
They're very good. Yeah.
Good too.
Yeah. No, the Fantastics are really good too. But I mean, I like Demolition. Demolition was good too.
Oh yeah.
WWE had some great tag teams back then, but Midnight Express were better. The Road Warriors were better. The Rock and Roll Express were better. Doom was better. There were other tag teams you could just sit there and be like, yeah, they're a lot better.
I would have loved to have seen like a Doom versus Demolition.
Yeah, that would have been great. Again, or even like a Rockers versus the Midnight Express. That would have been fantastic. Or a Midnight Express versus the Hart Foundation.
Well, the match you actually got to have, if you're going to have the Rockers, you've got to have the Rockers versus the Rock and Rolls. Because one is supposed to be something of a... Vern Gagne was kind of trying to clone... Was it Vern? I don't remember.
Yes, it was Vern.
Because Vern was trying to clone the Rock and Rolls when he had the Rockers.
Because Vern had the idea of, well, we're going to call them the Midnight Rockers. So it's like he took the Midnight Express and the Rock and Roll Express and combined them. Like, okay, Vern. All right. Yes. And this is coming from the same guy who let Hulk Hogan pretty much leave. Oh, Hogan was on Carson. Yeah, I'm not going to put the title on him. What? Yeah. He was just on Carson. He did the Sylvester stuff. Yeah, I'm not going to put the title on him. All right. Great decision.
You won't regret that, I promise.
You won't regret that at all, I swear. So, we have finally reached the point, the main event of the program.
Hey, Dan, hang on a second.
Okay,
I just emailed you, or I messaged you a video. I had a friend of mine messaged me and, what are you up to? And I said, I'm doing that podcast. And they were like, oh, sorry. And then sent me this. And I said, why are you sending me this? It's like, send it to them. See if they'll play it. So if you're wondering why you just got that video from me in text, now you know.
You sent it to Dan?
I sent it to Dan.
Okay.
I think.
I haven't got a notification on my phone or else.
I have not gotten it yet.
Give me a minute.
If I have, I got to check my spam folder.
No, it's not an email. It's a text.
Oh, okay. Let me check my phone. Do you have my number, Scott?
I've got somebody's.
I think it might be Dave's.
I'm going to check it in a minute.
Yeah.
Give me a minute. There we go.
I mean, I'll give you my number if you want it.
No, that's I'll take it.
No, I haven't got a fresh text from you. I've got everything working ? Which I sent to you. That's what I got.
Right. Okay. No, so that is you I'm sending it to, Dave. I'm sorry. But
I didn't get it.
They sent me the video of when Russo made me do Nitro without my shirt on. Get him to play that. I said, well, that will certainly stop the
I vaguely remember that. You just brought that
I
up. Was just
vividly
that
remember
happened.
that.
Oh boy! Now, was that the creative control era, or was that after he came back?
He was an on-camera talent then.
Oh, okay.
And the week before, something had happened, and he had gotten his shirt ripped off. And Vince is a little guy, right? And I made some crack about apologizing on behalf of the Turner Network of Families for Vince Russo's spaghetti arm. And so wherever Nitro was the next week, he comes up to me and he says to me, he comes to the announcer room and tells me and Tony and Mark, all right, you guys are going to do the show without your shirt on because I got my shirt ripped off last week, and it's just punishment, and it's part of the show. And Mark and Tony were like, we're not doing it. and he says, Scott, and I said, I'll do it on one condition. He goes, what? He says and I said that you let me wear a tie. So if you look in that video, I don't have a shirt on, but I do have a tie on. And I am an incredibly hairy person. I'm like Dutch Mantel. And when I'm walking around in like dress pants and, dress shoes, no shirt and a tie, Vince comes up and looks at me and he goes, you can't wear that sweater.
Oh my God.
I think this is probably around the time that he was feuding with Flair. And I think that because Flair, I think, would take his shirt off to do the chops. Of course, to lay it in.
The elbows.
Yeah, that too. So I think that was probably around the same time. So it may have been June, July of 2000, I think, maybe.
I'll take your word for it. I mean, I can't make Flair taking off his clothes in the ring any type of benchmark for time, because that's been from like 1980 until last weekend.
Oh boy!
Yeah, dear God.
One of the
famous
was that
time Flair took his clothes off in the ring? You're going to have to be more specific.
That's every Tuesday sometimes.
All right, sorry.
There was this video of him got snapped by a fan in some bar out in some bar he was at in North Carolina. It was rather recent, like in the last couple of years. And there's this gorgeous woman who's probably 29, 30, and she's doing everything she can not to look at Ric Flair. Ric Flair is bobbing and weaving back and forth, doing some kind of penguin dance, trying to make it look sexy. And the whole time you're just looking at this and then the woman says, and then the woman who doesn't know who Ric Flair is, there's some man that's trying to get her attention right now. It's Flair. It's like, what the
gosh.
Flair's got that weird smile he gets on whenever he's wanting to put somebody on that mountain, Space Mountain.
Oh boy!
I was like, dear God, and it's like a fan's cell phone video. Well, sort of fan. She didn't know it was Ric Flair.
I was wearing. I have a Ric Flair hoodie that has Space Mountain on it. So I was out with my mom and I was wearing that hoodie, and someone asked me, they're like, Space Mountain, is that some sort of Disney reference? And I'm just like, no, not at all. So I have to go outside, and my mom is just like, so what kind of reference is that about anyways? And I'm just like, you really don't want to know this, Mom. I really don't want to have this conversation. She's like, no, tell me. I can deal with it. I'm like, he's talking about his, and then she's just like, I don't want to know. I'm like, yeah, you do. You just asked.
The fact that as Flair got older, the descriptions of the ride changes. How the ride is getting older, but it never stops running. It might creak a few times.
and it got the great response from Jimmy Garvin when they did the Flair Jimmy Garvin feud in 88. 88? I think it was 88.
87,
when he said,
actually.
87? I'm tired of hearing about Space Mountain Ric Flair. Everybody knows it's the shortest ride in the park, and you're always a little sick when you get off.
Oh, God.
Said that on TBS. Oh, my God. Incredible.
Yeah, because I think that led, because Jimmy was feuding with Rick, and that led to
Are you
Ronnie.
going to heaven there, Dan? You just got really bright in your room.
That's my TV in the background.
Like,
Right? The rapture has arrived. It has arrived at my house.
Dan is ascending.
I am ascending right now. I will see you all soon. So I've lost my train of thought. So we've reached a point, though. Ric Flair and Tatsumi Fujinami, the Mark
I got a lot of
crowd, the Super Mark crowd, they're all here for this. The IWGP Heavyweight Champion going up against the WCW Champion, and also the NWA has recognized Fujinami as the NWA Champion, I believe, going into the show. No, they haven't.
It's complicated. Okay, I did a little bit of
it is.
I did this in NWA. Of course, it's going to be complicated. I did a little bit of research into this. Okay, so they go to before this. They go to Japan, and Flair and Fujinami have their match. Fujinami wins the title, but it's on a DQ. New Japan, to this day, even recognizes Fujinami as the NWA champion. But NWA would not do so because the title can't change hands on a disqualification. So Flair is still the NWA champion, but New Japan considers Fujinami the NWA champion. On top of that, WCW doesn't even outright acknowledge the NWA title on this entrance. They just call it the WCW title. As far as record goes, NWA and WWE and even WCW never recognized that title change. Only New Japan ever did.
So
and then Flair went and stole the belt at the press conference after the show.
Yes. Forgot about that. Good catch.
That's true.
That's how he had the belt back when they were in St. Pete.
But that brings me to my question. If you know anything about this, Scott. I can't help but notice, and I've noticed this before, and I've wrote articles about it in the past, about how WCW is not talking about the fact that Flair is the NWA champion. They're only talking about the fact he's the WCW champion. When they announced his entrance, they said Ric Flair, WCW champion. It's my impression at this point that WCW is already working to downplay and distance themselves from the NWA.
Yes.
They've got the big gold belt, which they own, but they don't own the name NWA champion. I'd like your insight as to what WCW is doing with NWA with regards to its title and its business relationship at this time. Your insight.
All branding. They wanted the WCW championship to be the world championship. And if the NWA championship was still out there somewhere, it was only going to devalue the WCW championship. And quite frankly, I'm surprised they didn't just let Fujinami keep the NWA title and say, Ric Flair's the WCW champion, and that's a bigger deal anyway. So good for you, Fujinami. This is the world champion. But they didn't. They went down this route. But it was all to forget that the NWA title existed. And then I think they brought it back somehow.
93.
Didn't they bring it back with Rude and
93, and then there was a whole bunch of complication there. But
then it became the international championship.
Right.
They brought it back at the end of 92, the beginning of 93. Great Muta was NWA champion. Then Barry Windham became NWA champion. Then Flair won the 10th title. His 10th title, they won it back at Beach Blast 93, which became his 10th world title. And then somewhere in between Flair and Rude, they lost the naming rights.
When Rick Rude won the NWA title, he didn't actually win the NWA title, so to speak. He won it on the Disney tapings, the ones where Jesse Ventura fell asleep on.
Mm-hmm.
And the NWA board of directors, which had initially been on board with the idea of Rude being the champion, thought it was disrespectful to tape a title change in advance while still recognizing the other guy as champion, and therefore did not want to recognize Rude as the NWA champion. So NWA never actually recognized Rude as champion, but the right WCW clip that you can find, you'll see Rude introduced as the NWA champion. But the board found that insulting, and that led to the final break between WCW and NWA.
Gotcha.
And somewhere that title survived and ended up not long thereafter on like Dan Severn or somebody like that.
And also Candido.
Candido.
There's another in Smoky Mountain whose name escapes me. There's another one in there. I think. Tracy Smothers, maybe?
No, not Tracy Smothers. Bobby
Yeah.
Blaze.
I can go check out the history later. But I wanted to get back to the 91 thing. JR said on his podcast when he was talking about some of the events in 91, he said that one of the reasons that they were moving away from the NWA title was that Ted Turner didn't like the fact that there's this board of directors out there that he doesn't own or have authority over, has the ability to veto his title change, his booking.
I believe that.
Title change and booking decisions.
I can't blame. I'm assuming Ted thought in '88 when he bought Jim Crockett Promotions that he bought the entire NWA.
He did buy the big gold belt specifically.
Well, I'm thinking that he originally, and he didn't understand at that point that it was still considered a territorial system. So it's like there's all those other promotions. He's just like, wait a minute, what the hell? Like, what do you mean I don't own the whole thing? You only own Crockett. What? So it's
well, that kind of territorial system was collapsing. So I can understand.
It was, but he still had to deal with like those little outer bank ones of just like, oh yeah, we're still,
Okay, Scott, quick question for you because you probably okay. With regards to this, if we're talking about the NWA board in say 82 or 83, you're probably talking about Continental Wrestling, World Class, Florida, of course, Mid-Atlantic, and maybe a couple mid-tier promotions. That's then. But if you're talking about the board in 89, 90.
Central States, Don Owen. Yeah.
But if you're talking 89 or 90, you're probably, most of that board is probably made of small promotions that a lot of people have never heard of. Am I correct?
Probably. Yeah. It seems like Dennis Carluzzo was part of that.
Yeah, I would have. New Jersey.
Howard Brody, I think, too.
Howard Brody, yeah.
Jared had already gone independent. World Class had already left. Georgia was closed.
Right.
UWF is closed.
82, you're dealing with Georgia. You're dealing with Mike LaBelle and Gene LaBelle out of L.A. You're dealing with Roy Shire out of San Francisco.
Yeah.
Like, there's still a lot of...
still a lot of heat.
Still a lot of like promoters then that were still viable territories, that all had juice, because still they were banking on their weekly TV and not understanding. Oh wait, cable? What's that?
But in 89, 90, or even 91 here, I'm assuming those board of directors, being the tiny promotions that they are, probably don't have juice, but they're probably acting like they still got big juice, like they control Texas or something. Am I right?
Yeah, right. And if they tried even just as a rib to make some power move against WCW in the name of that belt, they would have just been wiped off the face of the earth.
Like what happened
like
in
that
1993? Like 93 with the Rick Rude debacle that we
Right.
mentioned?
Exactly.
They got wiped off the face of the earth.
And you would have WCW literally pulling what the WWF did to bring it back full circle to St. Pete by running a house show the night before the pay-per-view. WCW would go run a house show in a high school gym opposite whatever Howard Brody's NWA was running that same night in a American Legion Hall. So just to put them out of business. That's how petty that stuff was.
No, I believe
They
it.
didn't do it, but they would have if the NWA board had tried to make some power move against WCW then.
No, just like I said, that's what they did in '93. They made a power move over Rick Rude, and then WCW said, "Well, f you, bye."
By then,
It's our
WCW
TV. You can screw off.
But in '89, when all that
Oh,
was
I see
going
what you're
on,
saying.
Yeah,
I understand.
yeah, no, not in '93. They didn't care. They had washed their hands of it, and they had rebranded everything to be the WCW Heavyweight Championship, WCW Tag Team Championship, the and it didn't matter what the NWA did. But back then, when it mattered, they would have played hardball against them.
I figure the biggest loser out of Flair Fujinami is actually NWA itself, because Flair is introduced as the WCW champion. He is the NWA champion, but not introduced as such. Right. Fujinami is introduced as the IWGP champion.
Right.
They mention every belt except the NWA title, which is what this is all about. So my take is NWA is the biggest loser of the whole match.
I agree.
This is the only time that I have seen Ric Flair not really give a shit about being the world champion going into a match. Like, he looks completely checked out in this matchup, which I've read his book. And he said on several occasions that his time in WCW before he made the switch to WWF in July of '91 was probably the worst of his career as far as his mental health is concerned. And you can definitely tell in this match, this is not Ric Flair. This does not feel like a Ric Flair this is not Ric Flair that we're used to. This is a Ric Flair of just like, let's just get this fucking over with.
He's just plugging formula. Unfortunately, he's plugging formula, but he's with Fujinami, so you can still have a really good match.
I'm sure politically that this also.
Well, this thing's all sorts of politics.
Oh my God, this thing must have just been like. You
remember we mentioned earlier in New Japan still considers Fujinami a former NWA World Champion to this day. I did checking on that.
Yep.
It's one of those weird. There is a whole busload of politics in this, and three promotions worth of it.
Well, I'll defer to you guys' experience, but at this point, did Flair know he was leaving? I know that was kind of a bang situation, but I don't know if Flair is checked out just because he's so miserable, or if Flair is checked out because I'm gone and whatever
it's the problems with Herd, because
Herd wants him to become a gladiator. He wants him to do all sorts of stupid crap.
The haircut, obviously.
Let's see. You said this show's in May, and what Great American Bash is what, July?
Yeah, so we're 2 months.
We're 2 months from being fired.
And then this is right after the Black Scorpion. Like, there's a lot of things.
It ruined everything he did with Sting.
That are just adding everything up, everything just piling up, and you're just seeing a guy almost like at his breaking point of just like, but 8 months later, he's going to be in a much better place and winning the WWF Championship in the Royal Rumble. So, but Flair here, I'm looking at him and I'm just like when he comes out for his entrance, it doesn't feel like Flair because he doesn't come out with the woo. He just doesn't look like the normal, I'm happy to be here, the best wrestler in the world. He's just like going through the motions. I just want to get this thing over with.
In hindsight, I can see that, but there live, when we were watching it, everybody thought that we were watching, this sounds horrible, but we were watching a Japanese Ric Flair, that we were watching Rick, how he is when he's in Japan. And because obviously this was a big match in Japan, and that when he comes out and he's not wooing and he's not doing the bit and, holding out his hand and then slicking and all that stuff, that this is how Rick is in Japan. He comes out and he's all business, he's all serious. And again, he still looks like a housewife with that haircut, but that was the difference. Not that he was checked out, but now in hindsight, and not hindsight from 35 years ago, hindsight from 35 days later, when he's gone, it was like, oh, okay. Flair was miserable and he knew he was heading to the WWF at the time. And you'll never forget when Heenan held that belt up on Superstars.
Oh, yeah. I also think it made a brief appearance at SummerSlam. They hadn't already swapped it out for the Vegas one.
No, it did. It did make an appearance at SummerSlam.
Yep.
We're on that topic in case we never get around to this. A bizarre thing about when Flair got fired. He was the WCW champion. As you know, they stripped him of the title and they used Dusty Rhodes' old title to decide that match. But check this out. Flair was still recognized as the NWA champion until that title showed up on SummerSlam. The NWA had not withdrawn recognition. They seemed to have been under the misguided view that they could probably get Flair to work for him.
Oh, so sure.
Flair's still the champion until like September 8th of the NWA.
The question is of where he could have worked after leaving WCW that he could still be recognized as the NWA champion.
I suppose he could have, if he wasn't going to go to WWF, I suppose he could have gone to Japan. Either or, some of the other two promotions out there.
It depends on what kind of contract he had. If he had like a no-compete that you can't go to work for the WWF, then he can go wherever he wanted. But if it was like you can't wrestle.
He got fired. That's complicated. In the world of no-competes, getting fired complicates things.
I mean, he could have went to Herb Abrams.
We're just a little bit removed from New Japan briefly being the biggest promotion in the world, so he could have really just gone to New Japan. Because
they were paying ridiculous amount of money back then too to the American guys. I mean,
the Kings Road thing was about to take off too.
Stan Hansen, I don't know. Flair's body would not have been able to hold up to the Kings Road series.
Yeah,
no way. Flair, he could wrestle 60 minutes a night, but not to that. Can you imagine him going up against Misawa? Fuck.
No.
Ric Flair versus Kenta Kobashi. Oh my God!
Not either. It would have been like Flair and Rusher Kimura.
Well, she mentioned Flair's book. If Flair in his book said he'd been in communication with Vince since the 80s about a possible run in WWF.
He almost jumped in 88. He was close.
I don't remember why he did that because that's one of my weaker years in my knowledge.
He was the problems with Dusty were just getting too bad.
Oh.
And Dusty ended up being out of the company, out of Crockett by the end of 88 anyway.
And Dusty spiked himself out of a job.
Yeah, when they did the Road Warriors angle.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it was the tension was that bad between him and Dusty. He almost made the split. And the main event for WrestleMania, for SummerSlam 88, was almost going to be Macho Man Randy Savage against Ric Flair. So we almost got that in 88. At SummerSlam, which
Jesus Christ,
I don't know how the hell he would have been able to pull that off in that short amount of time, because you still got to get Flair used to that audience, unless it was just this is the former champion of another promotion, blah blah blah.
Based on their reaction to Flair and then the Royal Rumble '92, I think Flair would have adapted quickly.
Oh yeah, he would have been fine.
If they had done in '88 what they did do in '91, it'd have been great. I mean, because Flair was over like crazy.
That Real World's champion thing was brilliant.
Yep.
I saw an article today on Wrestling Glory Days written by Danny Dangerously. He was writing an article about Ric Flair should have left WCW after 1990 Great American Bash, and he went through all the things that should have happened of Flair going to WWE and then not having to deal with the Iraq angle between Slaughter, and you get Hogan and Flair at WrestleMania 7. And the question is, do they stay at the LA Coliseum, the stadium, if it's Flair and Hogan at WrestleMania 7?
Absolutely, yes. Number one, it would have drawn
where
Hogan and Slaughter wasn't going to draw and fill that stadium. That's the reason they moved. It wasn't, security reasons because of the
war.
Operation Desert Shield. It was because they weren't selling tickets. And they could fill up. Where do they go? The Forum? Where do they go?
The LA Sports Arena.
The Sports Arena.
Yeah.
That's why they went there, because they could fill it up. But it was going to be like a tomb at the Coliseum. I mean, even if they put 40,000 people in there, it's going to be more than half empty.
Right.
So that's why they moved it. But Hogan and Flair would have filled that place up.
Yeah.
It's one of those things of he should have left after dropping it. Like, he should have left after losing a Sting and the Black Scorpion. He wouldn't have gotten a tarnish by that.
Oh.
He wouldn't have had to get his hair cut by Herd. Then we wouldn't have had the Sapphire angle with the $1 Million Man. We wouldn't have had because he would have, because I would have had him work with Dusty, like right out of the gate. Like SummerSlam 90, I'd be like, yeah, just have him work with Dusty, because Dusty's leaving the company anyways in the beginning of 91. So it's like I would have had him help Mr. Perfect beat Kerry Von Erich, like all these things that Flair guys feuded with before. He's just going to do it in the WWF, and then eventually he'll beat Warrior for the title. Yeah, so it's like my little
Flair versus Warrior. Why you got to be so mean to Flair? That's not fair to Flair at all.
He wins the title from him, but he
Yeah, but he'll probably get
out.
Yeah, get the shit beat out of him.
Yeah, but we don't get Slaughter in Warrior. So
there's a match I've never seen.
That whole Iraq angle, we don't need that.
No.
So so that's 1991 Super Brawl and everything else that we seem to.
We didn't actually say who won the match. It's Flair, but still.
Well, it was Flair. Actually, I did have to bring up the finish. The finish again continues the tradition of WCW not being able to book a main event finish. It's like, what is this?
That's something
What is this?
That's just something that WCW had struggled for most of its run.
Yeah.
Moments.
The majority of their run, yeah.
But then again, most anyone who understood what good wrestling is knew that you watched WCW for the mid card in most years.
That's true.
Yeah.
No, it's very true.
You're looking for that Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero vibe.
Exactly. No, you are. That's 100%. Like you want that vibe of a solid mid card, which tonight, there was some mid card matches that were really good, but there were also some ones that was like the top 3 matches you can argue were the best 3 matches on the show. So it really wasn't like the mid card was like overwhelming, because the mid card tonight you had again Big Josh El Gigante, Brian Pillman, and Barry Windham going 6 minutes.
You could have done so much more there.
Yeah, but you got to have them come out and walk bears. It's like, oh, bears! Here come the bears.
I'd keep the bears just because why the hell not? But then just try to actually have it be something better than Big Josh.
Because I want them to get. Because I want the Bears to go crazy and go in the front row and just start tearing people apart. That's what I want.
Where did they
falling? The child.
They build him from like the North Woods or something like that, or the Big Woods.
I don't remember.
God.
I just know I look at him and I think about William Regal's. He's a
the real man. Yeah, man's man. God.
That cup of coffee run that he had briefly in WWF before going back.
Oh, that was so bad.
He debuted. I think he was involved in that junkyard hardcore match they had in WCW. Match 99.
That is
talk about a way to piss away money. They actually had to have like pre-production and post-production. They had a helicopter for this match. This match at least had to cost them like $400,000, and it like didn't draw probably a penny.
No.
Do you have any memories of that? I do have to ask that, Scott. Do you have any?
No, God, no.
Or the hardcore invitational?
I prefer to remember Regal and Fit Finlay when they brought both of them over.
Yes.
That was just like when it's raining outside and then all of a sudden there's like a little parting of the cloud and you can see the sun just like coming straight through the clouds and hitting at one place. That place was Regal and Finlay.
Yeah, they beat the hell out of each other in those matches.
Especially that parking lot brawl. That was sick.
Yep. That's the first one I thought of. Yep. It's awesome.
So we are rapidly approaching the midnight. It's 11:30 here on the East Coast. So
it sure is.
I want to be
to work tomorrow. Fuck it.
We're getting snow here in the Northeast this weekend again. So, has everybody had good weather recently, or has it just been like?
I had 70 degrees and I picked up my kid in shorts yesterday from school.
Oh, good for you.
I'm in shorts today, obviously. First time since before Thanksgiving, but that's changing come this weekend. It's going to be. It's not a real hurricane, but it might as well be bad.
A hurricane already? Good Lord!
No, it's not a real hurricane, but it's close enough. It's going to be stormy. Going to get back down to like 26 degrees again. So I'm going to wear shorts while I can.
Yeah, I don't blame you there. Yeah. But it was again nice having you both on. Scott, again, thank you for coming on to talk.
My absolute pleasure. Anytime, guys.
Superbrawl.
Before we can lock this down later to be sure, but before you go, I'm thinking because it'll be exactly 30 years since Bash of the Beach 96, that when we get together, that's what we should be doing. What do you think, Scott?
Yeah, that sounds great. That was that the third man?
That's the third man. Well, which side is he on? That was the Which Side Is He On show.
He on.
We should plan to do that this year.
That sounds great. Love that show.
Considering also you were there, you were in the backstage, and you can kind of give first-hand experience of what it was like.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they did have Plan B ready to go.
Thank God they didn't have to hit it.
Yeah, then they ain't been over 3 months. But yeah, it's always great to have you, Scott.
All right, thanks, guys, very much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for coming back again, and we want to have you back soon down the line. Actually, you're welcome whenever you want. You have an open invitation.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
You send me a text if you want. You send me a text if you ever want to do something sooner than that show.
Okay, I will. Will do.
Cool.
Thanks, everybody.
Right,
Mac,
cool.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Thanks, Scott. Have a great one.